take a look what we have here. So I want to go ahead and go over this fraudster again. And you know, it's unfortunate because there are people that could expose this scammer and other scammers out there. But everyone is on ScamTube. They want to line their pockets because ScamTube is a business portal. Everyone on ScamTube that's monetizing, which I think is everyone except me, right? I mean, find a person out there who specifically stated they will never monetize. You won't find that person. So they're all, instead of exposing fraudsters, they're all in the game of defrauding people. Various levels, of course. Highest level is absolute scams and frauds. Lowest level is disinformation, exaggerating things, clickbait. It's still fraud. Advertisement fraud. Fake news. YouTube is a fake news scam portal. So take a look here. So he has his annual, notice the pseudo-intellectual fake little bow tie tuxedo shit. Folks, if you can't spot a person that's pretentious, that's a fake, you're in trouble. And if you can, you run for the fucking hills. There's so many obvious signs, right? Once again, and you can see this little, his little video here. He's got the dummies, you know, the average stupid people. He wants to show you that, hey, look, it's one of me. I'm the fat chick, right? I'm the fat minority chick. Oh, I'm the fat dude, right? You see this? He wants to show you that everyday idiots are going to his conference. And then he shows you Jim Rogers, the career con man, absolute scam artist. And if you don't understand why, and I'm the only person in the world who's called out Jim Rogers as a scam artist. Why is that? Well, probably because I'm the only person out there that knows what the fuck is going on. Remember, I'm the big swinging dick. I'm a top fucking expert, right? So, once you have seen why Rogers is a scammer full of shit, then you'll kind of start to begin to understand how the media operates and why it's defrauding everybody. I'm not going to go into, you can look for the videos on Rogers. I've already exposed this fucking clown. Many videos on this guy over the years. But this is who he pulls in. Before we move on to this site, let me just give you a little summary of what Andrew Henderson does. Now, as you might recall, Henderson is a college flunky. He flunked out of Arizona State, which is a party school. It's a shit school, okay? He couldn't make it in a shit school. But he could make it on YouTube. That's what people do. When you can't make it, you go on YouTube and pitch your scams. You understand? And you pretend. Everything on YouTube is pretend. Everyone is pretending, folks. They're speaking for the camera. They're behaving for the camera. It's all fake. It's like Hollywood. It's all lies. These are not the people that you think they are. Okay? Generally speaking, the nicer the person comes across on YouTube, the much worse they are. You're talking about evil, scamming demons. Okay? They're conning people. Remember that. Their whole purpose is to get you to give them as much of your money as possible. Okay? So, Andrew Henderson, complete failure, a former pool cleaner, he decided to jump on, and this happened after the financial crisis. So many fraudsters, whether they failed in the financial industry, like a guy I haven't talked about yet, and I've got a huge file on him, and I haven't even really been keeping up with him over the years. I'll get to at some point. He goes by Green, but he has a channel called AMTV. Complete fraudster. Massive fucking fraudster. You know, you had all these guys that failed in the financial industry, and they, you know, real estate industry, so on and so forth, and they come out and they jump aboard the Peter Schiff hyperinflation fear-mongering, doomsday scam portal. That's what Andrew Henderson did. Andrew Henderson latched on this whole wave back a couple of years after the financial crisis, this whole huge wave, gold pumping wave. Oh, America's going to collapse, right? People didn't know what was going on after the financial crisis because it took everyone by surprise except for me, the only person in the world who accurately predicted the crisis. That's fact. I'm the only person in the world that's backed that by money as well. And of course, I was banned. Think about that for a second. Remember, folks, you've got one of the top investment analysts in the world, proven, constantly, over and over again, not just one huge call. I could make that claim just for my 2008 financial crisis prediction without anything else. But I've made so many, it's endless, the forecasts I've made that have come true. I'm not going to go into that, but I've been banned. And you see who's promoted out there. All the scammers and the frauds. Okay? But you had Andrew Henderson jump aboard this whole fear-mongering wave, right? And many of you don't even know or don't remember what was going on 15 years ago. You all don't know. Some of you, most of you probably don't. But this was when Peter Schiff and all of his fear-mongering allies had taken over the media with their bullshit, preaching hyperinflation, get out of America, it's going to collapse. This is when Jeff Berwick was pulling his shit as well. And Jeff Berwick was doing the fake passport scam before this guy. And I say fake passport, well, why? Because these guys make promises they don't deliver on. They can't deliver on. Let me just go ahead and pause for a second and tell you guys out there. There ain't no second passports other than what everyone and their fucking mother knows about. The Caribbeans. That's about it. He doesn't have any, there's no second fucking passports out there. He doesn't have any secrets, nothing. Everything he knows, he searches online. He doesn't know anything. He's not an expert. He's not a expert in international law or anything. Why anybody would pay this guy a fucking single penny for anything? A college flunky. You are a fucking idiot if you do. It's that simple. There's no second passports, folks. Sorry. Other than the Caribbeans. There's about 4 places you can you buy a property or invest in the country for $300-400, maybe $500,000, and that's it. Places you don't want to live in. There's nothing going on. Okay. Fucking stupid places in the Caribbean that have no way to bring in money, basically. Okay. I don't even know the names of these places. I haven't even looked. You can look at them right now. It's a fucking joke. The only other way to relocate are visas, not second passports. That's a huge difference. Visas. Okay? All you got to do is go online and search. That's it. And you don't want to deal with this fucking huckster. He's giving you false information. That's another thing he's doing. He's encouraging people to leave the comfort of their Western country, and he's promoting dangerous shitholes like Colombia, okay, and giving you all these lies and telling you how the government gets out of the way and the government, this is a great place, you've got freedom. Meanwhile, the opposite is true. You're going, he attracts these so-called libertarian people when the reality is, wait a second, Colombia and all these other developing countries, the government controls the commerce. Did you know that? And you have no free speech. You've got no liberties, no rights. Many of these countries, there's no search and seizure laws. You can be on the spot, searched, with no fucking warrant. You can be drug tested on the spot. Someone say, well, I don't care, I don't do drugs. Newsflash, dumbass, when you're in a fucking corrupt country, which is these developing countries, somebody doesn't like you, they can pay an official a few fucking dollars to frame you for a crime, and you go to jail forever. That's a fact. That's how it works in these countries, in case you don't know. So let's take a look. Book your seat now. What do we have? Because so, and I'm going to go over this whole conference here in a second, but let's take a look at the pricing. You see, because his whole pitch is basically to create this bullshit mirage that he's informed, he's intelligent, he's wealthy, he knows what's going on around the world. America's going to collapse. Go to some shithole to save yourself. No. And he makes all these propaganda bullshit videos on ScamTube, and he wants to tell you that, oh well, we deal with people with $1 million net worths and all this stuff, and this is a scam. He wants to basically make you think that he's so legitimate, so credible, that he's dealing with really wealthy people that must know, they must be intelligent. They've got a lot of resources and a lot of options, but they're going to him. No, it's not. No one's going to him with anything in their fucking head. If they got anything in their head besides rocks, they're not going to this guy. That's the whole scam. And if you look on the comments section of his videos, you'll see, oh, well, I don't think I can afford this. I can't afford this. You can see everyone is talking about how, I don't think I can afford it. Because why? Because he's giving this message of how, I focus on this clientele. I'm very high end. No, you're not. You're a college flunky, former pool cleaning scam artist. That's what you are. You're a fraud. Andrew Henderson, my name is Mike Stathis. You're a goddamn fraud. And you renounced your U.S. citizenship in order to avoid legal settlements, to avoid lawsuits in America. You see, if you get out of the U.S. system and you go to some fucking shithole, it's much harder to sue this guy. Okay? And you notice a lot of these guys, they do similar things in the similar, Jeff Berwick ran off to Mexico, right? As I mentioned, Jeff Berwick was doing this shit before him. Okay? But they all have one thing in common. Their mentor is Doug Casey, because Doug Casey's the international man. And if you don't know Doug Casey, I expose this fucking scammer. He's been in the whole scam boiler room copy editing industry, pitching penny stocks and promoting penny stocks, precious metals penny stocks, engaging in pump and dumps for fucking decades. Him and his whole little Casey research. Just because you put the name research next to your name doesn't mean you do real research. Doug Casey and his fucking clowns don't do real research. They are stock promoters. They are penny stock fucking promoters. Pump and dump fucking scammers. Same with Stansberry Research. Those are copy editing boiler rooms. They don't do real research, folks. I should know. I run a real research firm. So let's take a look now. What will you pay? He gets you to go to this conference thinking there's going to be so many important people there. Wow, it's got to be great. I'm going to learn so much. And let's take a look. Boom! $3,250. I mean, what kind of scam is this? By the way, let me just mention, if you all haven't noticed the trend, it's been going on with ScamTube for, a few years now. And it's getting bigger and bigger. And that is for these guys to build a big channel, and they'll have their genre. What will be, a lot of the genres are either cryptocurrencies and they're tied into the whole economic system, right? Because if you tie your whole narrative into the economy, well, it's a global market, right? ScamTube has a global market. And so what they'll do, and a lot of them they're either, gold pumping fraudsters or crypto fraudsters or stuff like that. And they'll get their big following because they have their network. They have the circle jerk, They participate in interviews elsewhere, and they promote each other. You know how it goes. I've been talking about this for years. And so what they'll do, the whole object is to create these conferences, right? They'll have these semi-annual conferences, quarterly conferences. Oh, in Orlando, Las Vegas. And they'll rely on their global audience of fucking idiots that they have built on ScamTube. George Gammon has this. Many of these fuckers have this. And they're all, you look at these people at their conferences and you can get a good idea about the circle jerk. This is the big trend. It's a scam. Okay? Let's take a look. So 3,200, wow, wow. I mean, I give a year of world-class research to retail investors for that. And I have 3 decades of experience professional experience. Wall Street, venture capital experience, Ivy League graduate, National Science Foundation research fellow, predicted the financial crisis, one of the top analysts in the world. I'm probably the best. I don't know of anyone who's better than me. It's hard for me to say I'm the best when I haven't seen them all. I'm the best as far as I know. And look at this. For some fucking stupid fluff event where you're going to hear just a bunch of fucking bullshit people talking. Not to mention, if you're going to fly out to Malaysia, okay? But it gets better. It gets better. Take a look. VIP, $28,000. You're talking about this guy is a Meet Kevin type of scammer. Look at it. $28,000. I just want to know, I want to know for that price, for how many years, over what period, how many years, how many decades will I receive fellatio? Will I receive good, world-class fucking blowjobs? That's what I want to know. How many thousands of fucking blowjobs am I going to get for $28,000? Because that's going to be a much better expenditure of capital than going to this fucking scam event. Of course, you've got the typical incriminating evidence. They want to show you the media. Now, they haven't been featured in the media. They advertise. They post ads in the media. You see that? But oh wow, they're all talking about him, even if they were, which they're not. And if he continues to make as much money, enough money to feed the media, well, he'll be Robert Kiyosaki status. Robert Kiyosaki status. He'll be Tony Robbins status. Tony Robbins status in the media. You all do know that, right? I've exposed it before. You ever wonder why Robert Kiyosaki is never exposed by the media? Tony Robbins is never exposed. These guys are promoted in the media. You know why? Because they spend a lot of money buying ads, whether it's their actual advertisements for their scam events or the actual articles. Those articles that Robert Kiyosaki posts, you think he writes those? First of all, they're written. He pays someone to write them. Second of all, he pays them to be posted. They're basically advertisements. Okay? So, as a result of this, Robert Kiyosaki is protected. Tony Robbins is protected, who does the same thing. You see, so they don't expose the frauds that they are because they're paying off the media. I learned this lesson in the very beginning when I launched my website after being banned by the media. Banned for what purpose? What reason? The purpose was to keep me silent so I don't expose everything. The reason, that was the same reason. Right? I mentioned this before. There was no legitimate reason for me to have been banned and blackballed by all media to this day, 20 years later. The reason why was because I exposed the financial crisis. I exposed the fraud. I could have helped people make a fortune, right? Taking that money away from the frauds, from the Wall Street crooks that committed the financial crisis. I exposed the free trade scam. I exposed many things, America's healthcare crisis, over and over again. That's why I was banned. Okay? That's what type of country you all, if you're American, that's what type of country you all live in, a fucking completely criminal country. So let's take a look here. He wants to tell you you're going to get knowledge and networking and entertainment. Fucking stupid fraud. Now, you may recognize this tramp. I showed a picture of her the other day, actually, in when I was exposing, I think, Peter Schiff, gold pumping, right? This is a lady that was a host on Kitco. So she's going to be there, of course. If you want to see, and most of these people that are going to be there are going to be, you're going to have two classes of people. Well, maybe three. The first is going to be scammers. So in other words, you're going to have the circle jerk, Henderson circle jerk of scammers. The second is going to be just paid whores. And I mean paid whores, what am I talking about? People that are professional speakers. They get money to go to events. They'll go to any fucking event as long as you pay them. And, they're going to talk about something, well, just try and be in the same theme, And then the third is just naive idiots, just naive people that are, they see this as an opportunity for them to market themselves and their business or whatever. Okay, so let's take a look here. So you see the guy in the middle, Steve Wozniak. He's got to be one of the most disgruntled fucking losers ever. He's always for how many years now he's been griping this and that, and why? Because he didn't do anything. Oh, I'm a co-founder of Apple. Yeah, well, you have not been doing anything. You co-founded Apple when Apple wasn't much, and it actually failed. Apple was a fucking failure. So much that they got rid of Steve Jobs. They brought him back later. But Apple didn't really do so well for a long time. Right? Back in the 90s. So Steve Wozniak, he missed the whole party. So he's kind of like resentful because he didn't make any real money. He wasn't there when Steve Jobs turned the company around. And they turned it around in the early 2000s with the launch of their MP3 player, followed by, shortly thereafter, a purchase of a very large music chain. I can't recall. But they did that so they could easily get the distribution onto their MP3, their Apple MP3. And from there, that essentially turned Apple around. But anyway, so Steve Wozniak is a professional speaker. So people say, oh, well, Steve Wozniak, wow, I know this name. Yeah, he's a co-founder. So this scumbag fraudster, Andrew Henderson, the dirty rat with the beady eyes, you can see the beady-eyed dirty rat, he pays these people, high-profile people. This is what scammers do. See, he doesn't have any real substance, so he has to pay people to make it look like it's legitimate, it's credible. It's a typical scam operation. And, of course, he's going to have, I don't see her as attractive. She looks like fucking Dracula, in my opinion. But, she's got all the makeup on and the Photoshop picture. So, many losers online who are very desperate with low standards will see her as attractive. He's going to have attractive girls there, just like he has in his company. He hires all these Eastern Bloc fucking girls he wants to show you with their tight dresses and boobs on his website to lure fucking stupid people. I mean, folks, if you're falling for these things, you're very stupid and you need to change your life. Okay? So, now her, I don't think he's going to pay. She's a nobody. She formerly was the shill for Kitco, which is a scam company, a scam portal. They banned me a long time ago. Of course, they promote, and they're in bed also now with TheStreet.com, Jim Cramer's boiler room scam operation, which I exposed a long time ago. So, they're involved. You have to understand, Kitco and all these other channels that interview, that promote this whole gold narrative and interview all these gold people. You got to understand, folks, it's a huge network that essentially got its hands in penny stock scams and penny stock pump and dumps. Why? Because they're interviewing the same people who were involved in that shit. And you can look at Kitco as a great example. So, then you have some fucking clown, don't know who this guy is, he's probably coming there, Andrew Henderson contacts these people and they'll, oh, come to you're a speaker, we would love to have you, and we're going to put you up in this hotel, and we're going to fly you here. So they're not going to pay him anything. And this guy, former Mexican president, he's another professional speaker, okay? I mean, these guys, Wozniak, they don't have a job, right? They don't do anything. They're making money speaking, you see? So, and let me just prove it to you if you don't believe me. And you can just go through this. I don't really, Doug Casey, the scammer, I mean, this picture of him is like fucking 30 years old. Hey, Doug, show a current picture, you old fuck. So, I'm sure Mark Mobius is also a paid speaker. You can just look it all up. Most of these guys are not paid speakers. I would say, guaranteed, I know Wozniak is this Mexican president, which, if you look into this guy, similar to just about all these guys outside of, let's say, Asia. In fact, if you look at the name Fox, well, does that sound Mexican to you? I would say it sounds about as Mexican as the current Mexican president, Sheinbaum, or whatever her name is. And that's kind of interesting when you think about it, by the way, kind of off the topic. But anyway, so let me show you here. If you don't believe me, let's take a look here. What do you got? Boom! Boom shakalaka boom! You see, this is a Washington Speakers Bureau here. Request availability. You see that? And here's another one. You can just search. All you got to do is go on, type the name and type professional speaker or something like that. Okay. Same thing for Fox. You see that? Harry Walker Agency. See that? You see, so this is the scam. Think about it. If you have a legit product platform, like, why do you have to hire speaking celebrities to come to your event? It's the type of thing that Grant Cardone does. Folks, never trust anyone who has like celebrity speakers at their event, unless their event is like for celebrities. If you're providing, financial, business insight, anything like that, why would you have a celebrity speaker? Because you're smoke and mirrors, and you're utilizing the kind of the media celebrity effect that's going to draw in stupid people. I have pictures before where where Henderson on this company, he had a bunch of Eastern Bloc bimbos like as his staff, and they weren't really his staff. Most of them were like contractors, but that's to kind of lure this whole he want to have a little sexy girls thing. I think he's changed it somewhat now, but I've got pictures from before, and of course you can go on Wayback Machine and see it for yourself. Let's take a look real quick before we move on. Let's see if he's got the same deal. A little bit. See, he doesn't show the cleavage. Look at this girl. Chief Knowledge Officer. Let's be honest here. I think I could offer her money to come into bed with me, and I think that she would do it, and I don't think it would take a lot of money. Okay? That's my guess. I can tell from the appearance. Look, research and strategy. So look at all the girls here. All the semi-attractive, let's call it, they're dolled up girls. They're not really, they're dolled up, right? They got the bleached hair, the makeup, and you understand. Does this look to you like something professional? And he wants to make it look like he's got this huge operation, which in reality, no. Client success. Oh, these are the people who he pays to go on the fake review sites to make sure, to remove legitimate reviews, to post fake reviews, so on and so forth, by the way. Okay? Look at this. He's running a complete smoke and mirrors fucking shit show con shop. And in fact, someone you want to do some legwork, there you go. We are hiring. You see that? Contact them. Go through the process. Okay? And you'll see, go through all the process. You'll see you're a contractor. These are not employees, but he wants to make it look like he's got this huge operation. You're dealing with smoke and mirrors, folks. And so these high fees that he's charging, some of that goes to the speakers he's paying to come to his events. You see that? Let's get back to this list now. So he's probably got about 2 or 3 people he's paying. Some others he's probably paying for their airfare and their accommodations, right? Maybe this guy Bitcoin Standard, now he's going to pitch his fucking book and the Bitcoin crypto crap, right? I'd say just about everybody else here, he's not paying any of these guys. Okay? This guy, he's either paying or he's going there to promote his funds or whatever he's pitching now. You see? Cryptocurrency expert, this guy. I mean, folks, I challenge you to look these people up. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this. I mean, crypto. I mean, anybody can call themselves a cryptocurrency expert. I mean, this guy, he looks like fucking Tarzan. I mean, do you think this guy's legitimate? Let's take a look. Robert Breedlove, which, by the way, the name is a little bit suspect. Let's take a look here. What he's got on his ScamTube channel. It's probably one of these personal finance fucking guys. There you go. Oh, you see, so he was promoted by Lex Friedman. You see the circle jerk, folks? I mean, this is unplanned, by the way. Okay? What? You see that? This is unplanned. You know what I'm talking about with the circle jerk now? All these guys are related. You understand? You see that? Look at this. Ideas, having sex, how money and language evolve, civilization. Just fucking horseshit. Here you go. He's got Nomad, scam artist on here. Let's take a look now. Let's see whatever other scammers he has on here. Does this look familiar, folks? Can you tell by the thumbnails here? Like, you can tell it's the same formula and that these same scam artists use. You know, Tom Bilyeu and this Chris Williamson and all these guys. I got a new guy I'm going to expose. What's his name? I think Lowell. You see this? Where they're trying to be like, it's kind of like they're trying to be like a Joe Rogan thing, you know, where they're talking about, you know, health and economics and politics and, you know, and having like these charlatans on there. You see, this is the kind of the big thing on YouTube now, right? And of course, you see, you've got the Weinstein here, right? You see that? Just complete horseshit. You understand how these guys are bottom feeders, and you know the top guys, they're bottom feeding off of all the horseshit guys, the big inner circle jerk, the Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-David, right? All these guys, that big circle jerk, Lex Friedman, and then you've got the smaller guys that bottom feed off that, and they can get some of the guests off those shows, and it's a networking effect because some of these people like Weinstein, who have been promoted by fraudsters like Joe Rogan, and of course Weinstein's a fraud himself, it's a trickle-down effect. They get the subscribers and the viewers of those people, and that's how they grow their channel. You see? It's just very simple scam artistry. I mean, you see this horse shit? So, this is what I'm talking about with Nomad scam artist here. And of course, you got his father. Hey, Bob, your son is a fraud, and I have to believe yours one as well. This guy, I think I showed him briefly. I think I ran out. The stream cut off. Cyrus Jansen. And you can tell by his surname what his ethnicity is, by the way. Well, I can. Maybe you can't. I've become an expert in spotting the certain cabal. This guy is a CCP shill, a China disinformation, pro-CCP shill, complete horseshit. His channel is complete China. In fact, let's pull up his channel right now. Complete bullshit. He has clowns on his channel. He looks for anybody who's going to say something positive about China. And this is a guy, apparently he spent several years in China, probably as an English teacher. I'm willing to bet a lot of money. That's what it was. He taught English in China, and so he came back to Canada or the U.S. I don't know where he's living now, but take a look. So he calls himself a geopolitical analyst. No, you're a liar, dude. it's one of those things where, you've got like 5 titles. Oh, I'm an author and a speaker and an entrepreneur and a geopolitical analyst. No, you're not. You're a fucking YouTube grifter trying to pretend like you're an expert. No, go back to China and teach English. And so what he does, based in Las Vegas, huh? Oh, I know another fucking scam artist based in Las Vegas named Cyrus, although the other one is mentally ill. I can't say this guy's mentally ill. But you see, a lot of scammers, of course, are based in Las Vegas, not to mention, of course, Graham Stephan and this Jeremy Lefebvre and many others. Las Vegas is a cesspool of fucking scams and scam artists, no doubt about that. But this guy, basically, it appears to me what he's doing is trying to get business from Chinese companies by promoting a pro-China agenda. And it's completely inaccurate. Let's take a look at some of his videos here. I'll feature this guy in the future, just very briefly here. So, once again, he finds clowns, anybody who's going to say anything bad about America and good about China. Okay? And his content is complete horseshit. So take a look. The American dream is dead, but not how you think. Oh, look at this. Look, Andrew Henderson. There you go. You see that, folks? You understand. The circle jerk. Okay? Just take a look. This guy, he's an Indian guy from Singapore who's been talking about how China is so great for like 20 years. Completely clueless fucking scam artist, this guy. Okay? So this is who Henderson has and the type of horseshit he has on his channel. Just complete fucking garbage. This guy's a total clown. You should actually watch this video. He says, and I actually called this guy out, and I'll talk about it later, but he actually, if you listen to this video, let's actually take a look real quick. I want you to listen to this. Then we'll move back to Henderson.
If the Dutch can do it, if the Taiwanese can do it, if the Americans can do it, it's very clear that the Chinese can do it too. They've got the stem cell brains. They've got.
You hear that? The stem cell brains. I mean, if that doesn't, right there, I mean, first of all, if you hear the guy talk, the first few seconds, you know the guy's not exactly the sharpest fucking knife in the drawer, right? And then you hear, oh, look at his name, Sean Rein, R-E-I-N. Well, now, if you look at the name, you look at the appearance, I can tell you right now, he's half Chinese, or let's say half Asian. We don't know if he's Chinese, but he's in China. I'll say he's half Chinese. And, you know, from the name, I can tell you, I can guarantee you he's half Chinese, half Jewish. Okay? It's obvious if you don't know that. But anyway, did you hear the stem cell brains? Let's listen to this again. He's, you know, it's promoting his stupid little book. Look at this. Finding the opportunities in China's economy in the New World Order. What New World? What is this, Alex Jones? What a fucking clown. Anyway, listen to this again.
If the Dutch can do it, if the Taiwanese can do it, if the Americans can do it,
Americans.
it's very clear that the Chinese can do it too.
Americans.
They've got the stem cell brains.
You hear that? The Chinese can do it because they've got the stem cell brains. What the fuck? I mean, do you all understand? You all know what the stem cell is, right? Stem cell. You all know what a stem cell is, right? Anybody know what a stem cell? That is what's also called a progenitor cell, right? Stem cells are the kind of the embryonic cells of the body. They're the cells that are used in research for regenerative capacity, right? To regenerate organs. Those are the cells, for instance, the stem cells are they're in a lot of organs, but primarily in the bone marrow, right? So he says they have the stem cell brains. I mean, this guy's a fucking idiot. Okay, anyway. You all do know I have an extensive background in the sciences and the biological sciences. I've had advanced immunology in graduate level even, okay? But it's been fucking decades. I mean, stem cell brain. Anyway, you should watch this stupid video. And let's get back now. So here's the Cyrus Jansen, another fucking CCP shill, a paid. Folks, you do know there are paid CCP shills on social media, right? Just like Russia pays people, China's paying people. And you also have Chinese bots and fake comments all over social media, all over ScamTube, if you haven't noticed that. So, personal finance podcaster. So, another nobody. Just come to my event, I'll, speak about this and, and this lady, Lynette Zhang, she's a scam artist. She's an absolute gold-pumping scammer and a mental midget. I've already exposed her. I didn't do a feature on her, but I've talked about her. She's in that whole circle jerk of gold-pumping kingpin scammers out there. She's when you see a person like her, she's in the same circle with Doug Casey and Rick Rule and that whole fucking. Many people don't even know about these, because there's kind of this whole disgusting, degenerative, underground, penny stock gold, libertarian horse shit. But once you run into it, and then you start going down the rabbit hole, you're like, holy shit, this is a huge universe of fucking scammers. And they intentionally kind of keep it underground to some extent because they don't want the authorities to have a close eye on them, you see, because of a lot of the things that they're doing. This guy, Forrest Lee, complete fucking loser. This guy's a very bitter Asian guy. You can kind of tell. I've seen his videos in the past. You probably won't detect it unless you see a lot of his videos, probably especially his older videos. You can kind of tell he's one of these guys, apparently, who was maybe ridiculed or poked fun of when he was a kid in school. Maybe, for being Asian. Maybe he was one of the only Asian kids in his school. And you can tell he has a lot of resentment against white people for that. That's what I picked up on this guy early on. And he's one of these guys, one of these losers in Thailand and in Bangkok who's trying to play the digital nomad game and tells you how great it is there. And eventually these guys won't. They'll eventually they'll go back home eventually, or they may fall into a lifelong career of scamming people. I don't know what this guy does to make money other than his YouTube channel, but it's a typical bullshit, disinformation, nonsense. And a lot of these Thai vloggers, they're scam artists. I've talked about that before. This guy, I don't know that he's scamming, but it's just a typical YouTube disinformation bullshit. Expatter in Mexico, yeah. I mean, this guy, I don't know, looks like a felon to me, but and there you go. I mean, just. And by the way, this is a great example, by the way. If you all didn't know, take a look at Gabriel Cohen. If you look at the face, Cohen is obviously a Jewish name. If you look at the face, he doesn't really look Jewish. He looks more maybe Middle Eastern, but I guess Latino metric. So I guess he's maybe Latino and Jewish. It's just to kind of, there's a lot of mixed people. There's a lot of mixed out there that you may not know. For instance, if his father maybe weren't Jewish, maybe his mother were Jewish, maybe he would have a completely different name. You wouldn't know he's half Jewish, right? Anyway, that's a whole other topic of discussion. But it's an important topic for some reasons some of you may not understand. So you can just go through the list, and he's got all the beauty queens here, right? I don't know why. I guess these are kind of the celebrity. Miss Malaysia, she'll come there. He'll give her a VIP treatment. There won't be no speaking fee or anything. She's in Malaysia. He's got some more little Asian beauty queens. Miss Cosmo India, which these aren't even real beauty queens. Miss Cosmo, they have 1 billion beauty events in Asia. I've seen them. It's what is this? They keep making them up. But anyway, so ask yourself why he's having these girls there, right? You see what I'm saying? This guy, Ben Fisherman, I've seen his videos. He's some fucking loser tattoo artist from New York. And, Benjamin Fisherman, from New York, okay, e-begging on YouTube. This is a guy who gave up on life and decided to move to Thailand, didn't like it there, and went off to Malaysia. He's living there off of YouTube advertisement money. Okay? That's who he has speaking there. Precious metals expert. Yeah, everyone's a fucking expert, aren't they? Okay. I mean, look at this. He's got, you see what I mean now with this guy using the attractive girls to pull people in? It's such a scam. You may as well throw a fucking Lamborghini on your picture there, dude. Same thing. Wow, this looks like a... Dude, is that a wig? Is this a wig? I mean, Mr. Dubell? That hairline looks a little strange there. I don't know. Anyway. So, you can see here. Right? Take a look. Take a look, folks. So, you basically have a bunch of peddlers. They're trying to peddle their channels, their little nonsense, right? Their, cryptocurrencies, buy my book, nobodies, right? The beauty queens, right? And then you have, and of course, Lynette's coming there. She's not being paid. She gets to promote her gold company and promote all the bullshit. And I would say the only people, and Doug Casey, same thing, the only people being paid are Wozniak and Fox. That's it. Okay? That's it. Now, I might be wrong, but that's just my guess. I'm usually right about these things. So, that's what you got, folks. And it's funny because I looked at a comment here. Let's take a look. And somebody said something about... Oh, here we go. After you sell all the tickets, because he talks about his Nomad little meeting, his scam meeting. Yeah. Can you broadcast the event live on YouTube? Okay. And that's another avenue these scammers do, is after they charge all this money, they'll charge you to do a live, to see it live or recorded. Okay. And that the Wealthion, that Adam Taggart, Chris Martinson, they pull that shit as well. Anyway, to bring in more money. But of course, I can tell you right now, he doesn't want to do that, even recorded. Why? Because I don't think he would like all the information, all the material to get out to the world. Because I think you're going to have people there, such as possibly Lynette Zhang, Doug Casey, as you can imagine, spewing out a bunch of horse shit that they would not want to get out into the public, right? I've mentioned before the Money Show, which is a huge scam. They have all these fucking scam artists go there, and they get people in a room and they tell them things that they would get in trouble by financial regulators if they knew about it. If the regulators had heard what they had said. Money Show, complete fucking scam event. So let's see his response here. Due to the exclusive nature of the presentations. Oh, that looks like an interesting way of saying basically, we're going to talk bullshit. We don't want people around the world to see how we're scamming people with false claims, right? So let's go now and talk about this video. He wants to give you his thoughts on the market meltdown, stock market meltdown, as if he's an expert. Remember, this is a guy who flunked out of a tier 3 university. Tier 3, it doesn't get a lot lower, maybe tier 4, right? You've got tier 4. Tier 3, Arizona State University. Arizona State University consistently ranks on, U.S. News and World Report's top 10 party schools list, by the way. Okay. He flunked out. He became a pool cleaner, and then he started this whole campaign. He probably got the idea from Jeff Berwick, and also, by the way, from a guy I talked about recently, Simon Black, or what's his name? What's his real name? The guy that's teamed up with Peter Schiff. Schiff Sovereign, right? This whole second passport scam. Folks, you can get a second passport at St. Kitts. St. Kitts and those other similar Caribbean islands, if you pay $300,000-$400,000, that's it. That's it. Anywhere else, it's a golden visa. If you buy a house, or if you invest money in the government bond market or something like that, what that means is it's a long-term visa. That's all it is. And Andrew Henderson can't help you get that. All you got to do is contact the authorities of those countries. That's how you do it. If you're paying this guy 1 red fucking cent for anything, you're a goddamn fool. Okay? So let's listen to what he has to say here. I can tell you what he's going to say. U.S. markets, you're safer. You should invest in Asia, in the emerging markets, right? It's the same bullshit. And once again, folks, let me tell you something right now. There's a good reason why the U.S. capital markets are the largest in the world. Everybody invests in America. The best, most transparent markets in the world. That's a fact. Okay? You're investing, and by the way, many of these countries don't have legitimate stock markets. Okay? And that's a fact. I mean, think about it for a second. You all do know what a stock market is, right? A stock market's where you're able to purchase ownership in companies. You are a part owner of companies, right? And we're talking about companies that are for profit. These are for-profit companies. They're profit-driven companies. In what type of system do you have for-profit-driven companies? For-profit-driven economic system. That is capitalism. You understand that, right? That's capitalism. Okay? Not communism. Communism, you cannot own the means of production. Okay? That means you cannot own land, you cannot own machinery, and you cannot own businesses. Okay? That's why you cannot own Chinese stocks. That is why the stocks are listed in shell companies, right, in these offshore locations, right? You're basically getting the ADRs, the American Depository Receipts of companies from shell companies, and you're not even getting the real company, the real Chinese company. Okay? Aside from that, think about this for a second. Does China have a real stock market? It's a communist country. Think about it. Can you really own the companies in China? Okay? Ask yourself that question. And then ask yourself, do they really have a legitimate stock market? Okay? I could argue that most of the countries around the world that have stock markets don't have legitimate stock markets, right? Let's look at Asia, the rest of Asia, right? How many countries in Asia have legitimate stock markets? Obviously, that's an argument up for debate. Well, most people would not say it's a debate. They would say all of them are legitimate. I would say maybe a few. Maybe Japan. Maybe Taiwan. Maybe South Korea. Okay? And I say maybe because you could even argue that even in those countries, they may not be fully legitimate just because of various things I'm not going to get into. I would consider Japan's stock market legitimate. Korea, that's a toss-up. Taiwan, that's a toss-up. I mean, you all probably don't know. For instance, you hear a lot about Taiwan Semiconductor. Taiwan Semiconductor is a state fucking company. That's a state-run company that was built from state money. Okay, that's a fact. By the way, I'm not saying they're state-owned. I don't know what the formal ownership is these days. I don't know what percentage of the shares are owned by Taiwan, but I can tell you for a fact that company was built with a lot of state money, a lot of state funding. So let's listen to this now. What's he going to say?
So I've been asked, what are your thoughts on the global stock market crash?
As one of the worst stock exchange bloodbaths in history continues to hit global markets.
The economic fallout from President Trump's tariffs has heightened concerns of a recession and a global trade war.
Global markets continue to feel the pain, with indices in Asia reeling on Monday as President Donald Trump's tariffs send shockwaves across the world.
Hold on a second here. You see that? So Andrew Henderson, he likes to tell everyone his big thing, and he has his sucker audience repeating the phrase, "Yeah, that sounds good. Go where you're treated best." Right? Go where you're treated best. That sounds good. And so he wants to tell you that you're treated much better in developing countries. That's a lie. Another fraudulent claim by Henderson. You're not treated best as a foreigner in these countries, right? You're not treated. Think about this for a second, folks. Do you really think you're going to be treated best if you're from the West? That's his target. His target is the people from America, Canada, from the UK, from Europe. And the reason why is because they think, due to their ignorance, their lack of perspective, they think that life is better outside of where they live because of all the social problems going on. The engineered problems. And you know who engineered the problems in the Western world. Who opened the borders, who sent the jobs overseas, who created just a slew of anti-white rhetoric and propaganda, who created race wars, who've been creating all types of problems. It's to get the white guy out of the way of their own country, to move them out of the way, to promote minorities. You know who's doing all this, okay? But so, as a result of a buildup in these problems, many people across the Western world, they think that life is better elsewhere. Okay, they hear all types of things. They see all these fictional videos, and all these videos, I mean, think about it. All these vloggers on ScamTube, they show you how it is to live in the Philippines. Wow, it's paradise. And they show you all these amazing videos. Why don't you fucking go to the Philippines and see what kind of paradise it is? Are you fucking kidding me? You go and see the abject poverty in the Philippines. Now, Filipino people are wonderful people. They're amazingly friendly. They're great people, no doubt about it. Okay? But that's a completely different situation when you're talking about portraying these countries as fucking paradise. The Philippines probably has the most weather perils of any other place in the world. Do you hear about that? The Philippines, unfortunately, is subjected to everything from hurricanes to monsoons, typhoons, earthquakes, tornadoes, you name it, massive floods. Okay? That's one of the problems with the Philippines. Not to mention their terrible infrastructure. Do you hear about the stuff? No. All the videos are meant to get to feel good. Feel good! Oh, it's great! You know, because people on ScamTube, they hate their lives. Mostly. They hate their lives. They're looking for an escape. They're looking for a way to make money. This is what drives the fake news on YouTube. So, the point is that people are already thinking, okay, where can I go? Folks, how many times do you hear people that promote all these other countries talk about the stark reality of you have no freedoms? You're living in a life of the West of having freedoms and liberties and personal rights and the right to express yourself, the right to protest, right? And all of a sudden, you move to these countries. You move to Colombia. You move to Thailand. You move to the Philippines. You move to Costa Rica. You move to Mexico, where all of a sudden you no longer have any rights anymore. First and foremost, you're not even a citizen of the country, okay? You're basically a resident, if you're lucky, and most likely an extended tourist. So, first and foremost, if something happens to you, you've got to deal with the justice system there. Do you understand these countries don't have any rule of law? You understand that, right? There's no rule of law. You understand what rule of law is? Completely corrupt systems. Okay? And then if you have a problem, of course, you're going to have to get interpreters, you're going to have to get lawyers, you're going to get everybody looking to stick their hands in your pocket. Okay? You have no freedoms at all. That's first and foremost. So, you tell me where you're treated best. Do you think your personal liberties and freedoms are respected? No. You talk about the government, you're in trouble. You understand that, right? You have death penalties in some of these countries for very small crimes. Some countries, they have life imprisonment as well as death penalties for bribery. Bribery in these countries is commonplace. So what does that mean? It means that, and I can tell you right now, you listen to a lot of these experts. Okay. Say somebody doesn't like you, or you piss off a local. And you say, well, I'm not going to piss off any locals. Well, you don't know. They can go and they can bribe. They can bribe an official to get you in trouble. And they can say, you know what? This person bribed somebody. And that just for bribing someone, just for engaging in what is normal commerce, normal life in these countries, you can go to jail. Okay, you're not hearing about all the bad stories that happen in these countries. They're not telling you this stuff, folks. I'm telling you right now. It's a lot of shit. You're not treated best. Let me tell you where you're treated best. You're treated best in your home country. Okay? That's a fact. You're treated best where you grew up, where you're a citizen, where you have family and friends. That's where you're treated best. You're not treated best in some developing country. You're treated as an ATM machine. And you have no fucking rights. You have no rights at all. This guy, Andrew Henderson, is a fraud. He's a liar. Do not fall for this guy. And I hope you all spread the word on this motherfucker relentlessly. So, let me continue now.
Hey, I'm Andrew Henderson, founder of Nomad. We help high net worth clients.
See, he's always saying that. We help high net worth clients. Once again, folks, maybe if you're a criminal or like some blue collar moron who was hardworking, and did well in your business, like you were a hardworking plumber or something, and you were like a stupid guy, not educated, okay, fine. You're very wealthy, you did very well. Maybe you might go to this guy because you're stupid, or you're a criminal and you're stupid. But no typical high net worth person is going to go to this fucking scammer, because a typical high net worth person is going to know enough to know that he's a scammer, he's unqualified, he's full of shit. And a typical high net worth person who has achieved things, they're going to realize that everything he tells you, everything he knows is off the internet. They're going to realize all you need to do if you want to get into Malaysia's second home program, their golden visa program, is you contact the government websites in Malaysia and or Malaysian companies that focus on that. Okay, that's what you do. Same thing for the golden visas in Greece, in Portugal, right? That's what you do. You don't go to some guy who flunked out of college. He flunked out of a party school, Arizona State, became a pool cleaner, and lashed aboard ScamTube to promote all types of bullshit, okay? Who has been defrauding people for years, charging insane amounts of money that you have to have a criminally insane mind to even think about charging what he charges. Once again, he doesn't have any type of education, no real professional experience. Think about that for a second. And he's charging people $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 for smoke and mirrors. And I actually have a plan. I have actually a report from someone who emailed us, and they were unfortunate enough to have dropped, I think, $30,000. And I told the guy the report is generic. I'm going to show the report sometime soon. It's basically auto-generated, and they just put in like your name and a couple of things. Complete scam. The person actually I was going to interview, and he had some things come up, and so I haven't been able to do that. Okay? And by the way, if there's anybody hearing this now, this is why these videos got to get out there. You guys got to spread the fucking word instead of being self-centered, selfish motherfucking losers. Okay? Because the more people that watch these videos, the more information I can get on these people. You see? If anybody that's listening to this that's been a victim of this scammer, please let us know in the comments. Contact us, contact me, and we'll talk.
Find safe havens overseas, and I'm here in Portugal right now. We're filming Live Like a King Lisbon. We're doing
Safe havens overseas. So that's kind of a loaded term. Safe haven. Are you talking about for taxes? You see, because he wants to tell you how you can. He has all these fake videos, fake news videos. How you have to pay no taxes, pay 1%. That's all lies, folks. Unless you want to engage in criminal activity, okay? Unless you want to engage in criminal activity, okay? I'm telling you right now. Now, and I'm speaking to Americans, okay? If you're American, you have to pay taxes, no matter where you live, okay? Unless you want to move to Puerto Rico, okay? But even still, I think you're going to have to pay some taxes. But nonetheless,
some research on the ground. My message to you for years has been you want to be diversified. And so what I'm going to tell you here is a lot of what I've been telling you over recent weeks, recent months, and over the recent year.
This guy is a fucking liar and a fraud. By the way, notice the hand gesture there. Remember, I told you guys, whenever you see somebody hold their hands like that, okay, you should automatically assume that they're a scam artist. You see that? You see that? If not a scam artist, certainly a disingenuous person. Why? Because they are going to speaking. They're getting professional speaking lessons on how to speak. So, well, what's wrong with that? Well, why don't you just speak normally? Why don't you just speak naturally? Why don't you just give us the truth? Why do you have to manufacture a persona? You understand? It's disingenuous. I don't trust anybody that holds their fucking hands this way. Never have, never will. Okay? Nice cheap sports jacket there, dude, by the way. It's very fucking cheap. Why don't you go to a tailor, man? Jesus Christ.
One of the things that people are seeing is if they're invested exclusively in U.S. equities, they've really taken a hit. Now,
and by the way, this guy has always talked about, maybe over the past couple of years he's changed his tune because the U.S. markets have rocked and rolled, but he began his whole bullshit, his whole narrative was get out of the U.S. There's no diversification. Get your money out of the U.S. Leave the U.S. Remember, he promoted guys who talked about getting out of the U.S. before it collapses, right? Doug Casey, Peter Schiff. Take a look at his older videos from 10 years ago and you'll see. Okay?
saw just recently one day, the Hang Seng market in Asia got hit hard. But if you look at the first couple days where the U.S. and then Europe got beaten up, Asia actually did better. And so I've been talking to you for years, so I'm heavier on Asian equities.
You hear that? So conveniently, he's going to tell you, oh, well, Asian equities did better. I'm heavier on Asian equities, right? It kind of sounds like Jim Rogers, right? I happen to believe, I'm willing to bet a lot of money he doesn't have any Asian equities, okay? I'm willing to bet that. Remember, this is a guy who, his whole narrative is basically the dollar, right? Fiat currencies, they're trash. They're worthless, right? He's part of that whole gold pumping clan, by the way, cryptocurrency pumping clan. So I don't even think he has Asian equities, but it sounds good. It makes him sound like he knows what he's doing, right? Think about this for a second. So if he had a clue what he was talking about, he wouldn't even admit that he owned Asian equities. Okay, so they did well, they did better, they outperformed for a day, for 2 days. So what? Do you understand the type of potential problems Asia's going to have, right? Because of the tariffs? I mean, do you think America needs trade with Asia as much as Asia needs trade with America? We're the ones that, we own everything. We create everything. We fucking run the world. We don't need trade. We need it much less than Asia. That's for damn sure. Okay? Number two, I talked earlier about Asian stock markets. That tells you right there, this guy is completely clueless and stupid. Why would you put your money in Asian stock markets, right? You're going to put your money in the Thai stock market? Thailand doesn't have a market economy, by the way. You understand what a market economy is? It's kind of, sort of, related to capitalism, by the way. So how can you have a stock market if you don't have a market economy, by the way? How come you're not hearing this? I mean, of course, none of these fucking YouTube fake investment gurus are going to talk about this because they don't have a fucking clue what I'm talking about. But how come you don't hear any like high-level so-called experts talk about this? How come they don't talk about this? Nowhere in the world are you going to hear any of these so-called top experts mention what I just mentioned. Why is that? Why is that? Think about that long and hard. There's only one of two reasons. Either I'm wrong, or they're not legitimate. They're not trustworthy, right? Think about it. Do you really think Thailand has a market economy? It doesn't. You know what a market economy is? It's where you have free and fair, open competition. Free and fair, open markets. Okay? Thailand doesn't have that. Okay? Many countries in Asia don't have that. Asian countries, by and large, are socialist mixed with communist. Okay? And that's the way it's been for a long time. Even Japan, although not socialist or communist, maybe some elements of socialism, a little bit, they have moved past that, right? They've moved past that ever since America took them under their wing from World War II. Okay? So, in South Korea, same thing, right? From the Korean War. So those countries have moved away from their previous less market-based economies. And now, I think it's fair to say, both of those countries do have a market economy, although you still have, mafia control in those countries. But nonetheless, when you're talking about these other countries, right, in Asia, just about, I think, Malaysia, I don't know enough about the economy in Malaysia, but I would say they probably do have a market economy. But certainly, Cambodia, wrong. Laos, wrong. Thailand, wrong. Vietnam, wrong. Right? Singapore has a market economy, but they're not really a country. I consider them a special economic zone of Malaysia. Nonetheless, think about this for a second, folks. When you're talking about Asian equities, Asian stock market, when you don't even have a market economy in many of these countries, what does that mean? Are they legitimate stock markets? Right? So, and by the way, let me just mention another thing. Some of these countries in Asia, you can't invest in their stock markets unless you're in those countries. You do know that, right? And you know why? Anybody know why? Because these countries have very tight capital controls. Okay? I've talked about this, especially with China. You can't invest, as far as I know. I mean, you never know, but as far as I know, for instance, even in India, you cannot invest directly in Indian stocks unless you're in India or an Indian citizen. So, just wanted to point that out because people, they just fall for everything they hear. And you guys who don't know who I am, you better spend the time to look up who the fuck I am. Because I'm about the most credible, fucking honest person out there. I don't know anybody else. I mean, I don't know anybody remotely in my league in terms of credibility, expertise, and honesty. Can't find them. I'm not here pitching anything. I don't monetize this, right? People don't want to hear videos about exposing scammers. They want to hear how they can make money, how they can move to paradise locations to improve their lives. That's what people want to hear on ScamTube, and that's why they fall for the scammers.
That'll help me avoid some of this. Now, I personally am more into defensive stuff. I have a growth business called Nomad Capitalist. I invest a bit more.
You have a scam business called Nomad Capitalist. It's a scam. You're running a scam. You're running a smoke and mirrors fucking scam, and you're a fraud. And I believe there are many people out there who you've defrauded. And let me just say this, Andrew. Let me give you a little friendly warning. You're hiding out in Colombia with a lot of other degenerate, scumbag fraudsters, by the way. Right? And understand, of course, you're in these developing countries where basically, compared to the safety and protection that you get in America, you're not afforded that type of safety and protection in Colombia. So you may have pissed off somebody through defrauding them, and they may come after you, and they may want to confront you. And you're not going to be in the same protection zone as you would be in America. Okay, you think you're going to pick up the phone and call fucking 911? You think there's police patrolling all around? You understand. And let me just mention, I think he should know this by now, it's not difficult to pay people to do things. You know, it's very simple, very easy. This is what you're talking about, as I mentioned earlier, even in these developing countries. If I were Andrew Henderson, I would hire a security team. I would hire bodyguards and have a security team. Okay, that's some friendly, free advice there for you, Andrew.
Conservatively, and so partially for that reason, I was able to suffer, lower losses, just as I don't earn some of the crazy NVIDIA-like gains when things go up. But if I look at my...
Yeah, you don't earn some of the crazy NVIDIA gains when things go up. Yeah, well, I did. My clients did, because I'm the only research analyst in the world that's been recommending NVIDIA month after month since 2009. As, not only month after month, as the number one growth stock in the world. The number one, the best growth perspectives. Okay? Since 2009. Nobody in the world did that, by the way, Andrew. So, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a clown. You're a con. Stop pretending to be a business and investment expert. Go back to the swimming pool.
Portfolio in, again, the last couple days, the last couple weeks, and the last couple months, what I've seen is being diversified has helped me.
I'll guarantee you this guy doesn't own any stocks. I'll guarantee you.
And yes, everything's gotten hit in the last couple days in some way or the other. But by being diversified, that has helped. Here's another thing that's helped me. If you're denominated in U.S. dollars and you have assets, stocks, real estate, just cold hard cash, whatever it is, in euros, I have an asset. It went up $100,000 almost overnight, not because it went up in value, but because the dollar went down in value against the euro. And so my
okay, so here's the whole Peter Schiff pitch. Let me show you something here, folks. This is what I'm telling you. You can't trust a single fucking word that comes out of this guy's mouth. When you identify a charlatan, you can't trust anything they say, because they're always lying or twisting things around to the extent that I would consider them lies. It's a great example right here. So he's just said that he owns an asset in euros that went up $100,000 recently just because the dollar went down and it's priced in euros. And so whenever anyone comes out and talks about, oh, well, this is priced in this, Peter Schiff is the perfect example. He's a perfect example because all these years he talks about how gold priced in euros, gold priced in yen went up. He's going to find whatever currency out there he can, it's priced in Croatian fucking rickets, whatever, right? You understand. So let me show you something here. Let's get the dollar versus, actually let's get the euro. Let's get the euro versus the dollar. Let's get that. I want to show you guys as an example, just to prove to you what I'm saying, how you can't trust anything from these guys. Something that seems, like common sense, but if you don't have enough knowledge about this stuff, then you're going to get swindled. Remember, these guys are professional con artists, okay? They know all types of tricks to con you, to swindle you. Where's the dollar? Let's be here. So I'm going to show you a chart of the euro versus the US dollar. Remember, he said he made a lot of money off of asset he owns because it's in euros in Europe, right? Because the dollar collapsed. Okay? First and foremost, what the fuck, yen? First and foremost, folks, I don't know how the hell that came up. First and foremost, understand that currencies go up and currencies go down. Up and down. Up and down. Just like the stock market. I mean, you ever looked at your portfolio? I mean, I look at my portfolio all the time. I'm like, oh, it's a good day. Made $200,000. Wow. You know, the next day, you lose $100,000. You lose $150, right? Because of the market swings, right? But the one difference between the stock market and currencies is that over time, the stock market goes up. It appreciates. Over time, currencies don't. They stay within a range, okay? Unless maybe, you know, you're in the fucking Russian ruble or the Venezuelan peso or Argentinian peso or whatever their currency is. So take a look here. Let me show you here. So there's a 6-month chart. Obviously, the dollar's been selling off. It's exactly what Washington wants. They want the dollar to sell off. Let me get here. You can see it better. That's what they want. You all know that, right? I mean, they have a tariff policy. They want a weak dollar. They certainly don't want a strong dollar. Okay, so he's telling you how, you know, his assets gone up. Okay, well, how much has your asset gone up, Mr. Henderson? If you take a look at a longer term chart, take a look. This is the euro versus the dollar. Oops, motherfucking oops. Oops, motherfucking oops. You got it? You got it? Boom, motherfucking boom. You got it? You understand what I'm talking about now with these fraudsters? Andrew, you lost a shitload. You understand, folks, what I'm saying? They're not going to tell you the full truth. They're not going to give you, they're just going to twist things and cherry pick so they can pitch you their horse shit. Okay, this applies to Peter Schiff too, right? Talking about the euro all these years, right? Well, where's the euro? This is the euro versus the dollar in the fucking dumpster. You don't hear about this, do you? How come no one's been talking about this except for me? How come you don't hear about this, folks? Because ScamTube is filled with frauds, pitching doom and bullshit. You don't have real experts on ScamTube, okay? Real expertise is not on ScamTube. You're not going to learn anything on. You think you're going to learn something because maybe you don't know anything, but learning low-level shit isn't going to help you. Whatever it is, you need to learn high-level stuff, or you're not going to know anything. My point is that buying courses from fucking losers ain't going to get you nowhere. You're going to buy a course, you buy a course at a university. Not fucking Trump University or Cardone University. I mean a real university, not a scam university. You go to a university, or you go to a irrefutable world-class fucking expert. Okay? And there really aren't anybody, there's no one out there like that. Okay? I don't really see anyone out there like that. If they're offering courses, you can bet they're scammers and they're not experts. That's just a fact. Okay? So, let's get back to Henderson and his propaganda. Perfect example there, folks. You see, let me just play it again. If you just came in, he's telling people how, wow, he's up $100,000 in some asset, which is a lie, of course, but you know, he manufactures things. But it's just to emphasize that, well, the dollar is sold off and I'm invested in European assets.
The dollar went down in value against the euro, and so my asset held in euros was strengthened. And so if you're looking at holding
you see that?
assets in your base currency, whatever that is, I think U.S. dollars are going to be the ones that are going to get beaten up worse in the months and probably years to come.
Okay.
You can increase your U.S.
Months and years to come. You see, this is all. This is, folks. This is what I'm saying. This is the same. Doug Casey, Peter Schiff, all these fucking charlatans. Let's take a look. Now, dollar's going to get beat up. Okay. First and foremost, folks, if you're an American, it doesn't matter where the dollar goes for you. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. That's a fact. U.S. dollar. Let's take a look what the U.S. dollar's done. This is the U.S. dollar index. This is the U.S. dollar versus a basket of currencies, a bunch of currencies. Okay? I believe the euro of this U.S. dollar index, the euro comprises about 40% of this basket, by the way. Okay? So he's telling you basically you need to be in other assets, other non-dollar denominated assets, because dollar's going to go down, not just now, but in the future, for the foreseeable future. Right? Take a look at that. See that? And in fact, if you take a look since the financial crisis period, right? So Washington wants the dollar. The dollar's coming down on purpose. They want the dollar to come down. It helps their trade strategy, their terrorist strategy, right? It doesn't matter where the dollar goes, unless you're in Australia or Canada or Europe and you're trading in terms of U.S. dollars. It doesn't fucking matter, okay? But you see, the problem is a lot of people are so fucking ignorant. They're Americans, and they fall for this pitch. I mean, they fall for Peter Schiff telling them they should get out of their dollars. Oh, so he wants you to get out to sell your dollars that are in the bank and to buy foreign currencies? Are you fucking kidding me? You know, and the amazing thing is that people are so fucking ignorant. Folks, you better go to the right source for business and investments. It's not on ScamTube. Okay? Don't think you can't afford a financial advisor. You know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have said avoid a financial advisor. Today, I'm saying you need a financial advisor. Why? Because there's so much fucking horseshit disinformation out there. Go to a financial advisor. Get a financial advisor. Okay? Don't listen to this bullshit. These people on ScamTube, on social media, they're all fraudsters, liars, disinformation, scammers. All of them. All of them. You're getting the wrong information. You're getting bullshit. You're getting lies. You need a financial advisor. I'm telling you. I shied people away. I steered people away from financial advisors. But now, you need a financial advisor. People need financial advisors now. There's too much bullshit going on out there. Okay? That's the reality, folks. Okay? That's the reality.
By having assets in other currencies that are going up. One of the main
You hear that? And by the way, for all you Americans out there who are sold on this bullshit, how you think that you need to exchange your American dollar. I mean, you all understand how strong the dollar is? You're listening to all this horseshit, the dollar's going to be replaced and all. Excuse me, folks, who the fuck is going to want to take the Chinese yuan? You think that's going to be the currency of exchange from a communist fucking government? Fucking psychopaths? Are you fucking kidding me? They don't even have a market economy? All they do is cheat and steal? International trade, right now, you're talking about the Chinese yuan is about 3% of all currency transactions. 3%. And the majority of that is with Russia, by the way. Okay? You understand. And then the rest of that is with China's regional partners in Asia. Okay? People have always wanted dollars and always will want dollars. The U.S. dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. And what does that mean? That means, number one, it's backed by the U.S. fucking military. Okay? What does that mean? Well, you can just use your imagination. The most powerful military in world history. okay, that's got extensive experience in warfare, that's been engaged in warfare continuously for many, 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 many decades. Okay, they've got the best experience, the best weaponry, the best technology, the best and brightest minds. No country can even come close to the U.S. military, number one. Number two, the U.S. dollar is backed by what? I said this before, and you never hear this from anyone out there because they're all frauds and liars and idiots. Okay? Folks, this is why you need to spread my shit. Get people educated on the right page so that they stop falling for these fraudsters out there pitching fucking bullshit, doom and gloom, and horseshit nonsense. There's too many fucking scam tube channels out there pitching disinformation. The U.S. dollar is backed by the taxing authority of the U.S. fucking government, you stupid fucking penguins. You got it? I don't know where that penguins came from. They just popped in my head. Think about that. The U.S. dollar is backed by the taxing authority of the U.S. government. That is why everybody in the world, if they're a U.S. citizen, doesn't matter where they live, they've always got to pay taxes. Okay? That's a unique, unfortunate, unique characteristic of being an American citizen. You've got to pay taxes no matter where you live. Okay? That's the reality if you're a U.S. citizen. That's a very powerful thing. You understand? It's very powerful. So, and you know, and it's not just the forceful nature. I mean, if you're a British citizen and you move over, you know, a lot of these British guys, there's a lot of British degenerates that are hanging out in Thailand, by the way. They got the worst reputation in Thailand. A bunch of fucking British sexpats and fucking drunks and criminals. So if you're one of these British sexpat criminal degenerates hanging out in Thailand, not all of them, of course, you know, I'm sure there's some decent British folks, but if you're one of those, you don't have to pay taxes, right, to England. Now, I don't know the details, but I would say you might be cut out of their NHS, their healthcare system, if you need that, but, you know, that's the reality. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't speak for 100, 200, 300 years down the road. All I can tell you is this. In our lifetime, we're not going to see a problem with the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is going to remain the reserve currency. It's going to remain a powerful currency within our lifetime. That's all I care about, right? I don't care about things that don't affect me, that aren't going to affect me. I can't determine what's going to happen in 500 years. And I'm not going to make guesses as to what's going to happen in 500 years because I don't have any basis for that. I'm an objective, logical, world-class analyst. So I can tell you, in our lifetime, you're not going to have a problem. Now, I've been sitting here for the past 20 years hearing and reading about all the doomsday about the dollar. Right? So ask yourself the question, and I'm sure many of you have also encountered that horse shit. Ask yourself, how many years have you been hearing about this stuff? Right? And then ask yourself, well, maybe it's kind of like the pig, what is it, the pig that cried wolf? The pig that cried wolf, right? The broken clock. If you decide to accept the broken clock narrative, you're going to be in bad shape. You understand? Okay? It's the same thing with all the fraudsters out there talking about China selling U.S. Treasury securities. Okay? I mentioned this recently with Andre Jick, complete fraudulent video. So stupid that even the people that saw, some of the YouTubers that saw it even called him out on it. The same bullshit narrative that was floating out, 14 years ago, 15 years ago. It was a gold pumping narrative. I debunked it. It was the main gold pumping narrative out there. Oh, China's selling U.S. Treasuries. No, they weren't, and I showed it. I went on the U.S. Treasuries website and I showed everything. But you see, people, they just believe horse shit. Folks, I'm telling you, you guys are in trouble. You guys are in fucking trouble. You're in trouble if you're listening to anything out there that's not absolutely 100% proven, irrefutable, legit. The problem is that if you're falling for scammers and con artists, that means you have a problem with your judgment. That means you probably think they're legitimate. That's the core problem right there, is your judgment. You can't decipher when someone is a fucking con artist. That's the problem. No matter where the dollar goes, it ain't going to affect Americans. Okay? It's not going to affect Americans. It's not going to. That's fact. Okay? Other economies, your currency is going to affect your economy big time. America, not so much. Not so much. Okay? Because the fact is, America produces and can produce everything they need. If America wants to, they can produce everything they fucking need. You all do know that, right? America is blessed with not just a diverse array of natural resources, but also intellectual resources, right? America has the livestock, the agriculture, they've got the oil, the gas, and they also have the bright minds, because America has the best universities. Okay? Another myth out there is that the U.S. education system is shit. Well, tell me who created the big technology powerhouses of the world. Tell me what countries are begging for American technology. Look at China. China's fucking pissed off because we're cutting off NVIDIA. China's superpowered. Oh, they're so great. But they want our fucking technology. But they want it come in our universities. Xi Jinping has sent his daughter in Harvard. I mean, come on. Wake up, people. Seriously. Don't fall for these fucking frauds. Find the highest level person in the world. The highest level credibility. Okay? And if they're spewing bullshit or they're not telling you the truth, guaranteed they will not go up against me. Guaranteed. Okay? Folks, if most of these people that are kind of high profile, they're not even legit. They're sales and marketing guys. There are legit analysts out there. And they're really good, I'm sure. But guess what? You don't see them, you don't hear from them. Because they're doing their work. The guys that are blabbering, that you're seeing and hearing, they're sales and marketing. That's all they are. They're not legit. They're not knowledgeable. At best, they're getting their ideas from people that they have on their payroll. Okay? I mean, understand that. If you're spending a large amount of your time in sales and marketing, giving interviews, you're not a thinker, you're not an intellectual, you're not an analyst. You're a sales and marketing fucking clown. It's just that simple. Okay? I mean, let's look at the fund manager world, for example. Take a look at the fund managers. Bill Ackman, the dirty fucking rat, the parasite scam artist, market manipulator Bill Ackman. I did a video on him recently talking about how he manipulated the market again. And I did another one with Hertz, right? Think about that. He's always putting his shit out there. No legitimate hedge fund manager in the world wants anyone to know what they're investing in. That's a fact. Show me, bring me a legitimate hedge fund manager who's going to disagree with that. I challenge you. I advise hedge funds. I probably fucking know. Okay? There are hedge funds out there, many of them, most of them actually, don't even want anyone to know what they're researching. How do I know that? Because hedge funds, some of these hedge fund guys don't want to deal with me because I'm external. They're afraid I won't honor an NDA, right? Non-disclosure agreement. They're afraid I'm going to tell their competition, right, the information I'm giving them, or I'm going to share it elsewhere. So I probably know how the fucking industry works, by the way. Okay? Any hedge fund manager that's going on TV telling you about his stock picks is there for one reason and one reason only, to manipulate the market. It's that simple. It's a fact. Okay? So my point is that you might think Bill Ackman's an expert. I disagree. Is he an analyst? Fuck no. He can't even stand up to me when I'm fucking drunk. Which is why he was begging me on the phone back in 2008 for my book. He didn't know the name of it. He wanted to get, and I've got the email still where we contacted each other, by the way. Okay? So he's not even a legitimate fund manager as far as I'm concerned. Ray Dalio, same thing. Same thing. Now, let's how about Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett is in the media sometimes, but is he there to market himself, or is he there because the media begs for an interview, right? Warren Buffett is clearly a very overrated investor. If you understand his history, you understand the details of his investment past and so on and so forth, no doubt about it. Probably the most overrated investor in U.S. history. Is he legitimate? Of course he's legitimate. He's a legitimate investor. Is Warren Buffett coming out and pitching his stocks? Now, he has a public company. Everyone knows his stocks, right? There's no need for him to hide them. But is he coming out and marketing and pitching himself? No, he's not. He's not doing that. Okay? The guys out there that are fund managers that are always in the media, they're in the media because they're trying to reel in the dumb money. Because real fund managers get institutional money. Why the fuck are they on CNBC? Why is Jeffrey Gundlach, right, on CNBC? Same reason why Bill Gross was on CNBC all the time, right? Jeffrey Gundlach is the new Bill Gross, right? You understand. Because these guys want the dumb money. Take a look at Jeffrey Gundlach's funds. Fucking disaster. I've already shown on a video. Look at the video on my site. Okay? Take a look. Complete fucking disaster. Shit show. So, that's the reality. People need to learn that. Okay?
It by having assets in other currencies that are going up. One of the guys who's here filming with us said, hey, the Malaysian ringgit's not doing too bad against the U.S. dollar. And so you've seen the U.S. dollar has sunk against other currencies. If you had opened bank accounts in those countries to hold their currency, not... So
you hear this nonsense, right? And by the way, let me just mention for those Americans out there who you may have been convinced by some horse shit from Peter Schiff or one of his colleagues that preaches horse shit to exchange your U.S. dollars for foreign currency, for the euro. You saw the chart of the euro. Should I show you again? That's not even the most important point. This is the U.S. dollar. Let's get to the euro versus the dollar. What am I doing here? It's been a downhill path. Okay. Where's the U.S. dollar? Oh, here we go. So, take a look. The point, folks, is that if you're American, what are you going to do? You're going to exchange your dollars for the hard currency, for the physical currency, right? And you're going to hold that? Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Folks, news fucking flash. Something that I've never heard anybody talk about, which is really scary because it's common sense. You cannot, let me repeat, you cannot, it's impossible, absolutely 100% impossible to invest in foreign currencies. Okay? Now, you can buy foreign currencies, physical. You can hold the paper. But guess what? Why would you do that? Why would you do that when inflation's going to eat it away? You see, people don't, this addresses the whole U.S. dollar has depreciated by 95% since the Federal Reserve was created. That's just bullshit. Folks, nobody holds their dollar under their mattress for 100 years. They put that money in the bank where they earn interest. They put that money in investments like real estate and the stock market. Okay? The dollar has not lost its value. That's a lie. That's a trick. Why? Because wages have gone up. You understand? That's why you have wage increases over time. You understand? So on and so forth. This is typical fucking gold mythology I'm debunking here. Let's take a look. So here's the euro. Now let's take a look here. Go back to the U.S. dollar. I haven't looked at this. I've never looked at the Malaysian ringgit. Let's see what we got here. Let's see how this is done. He's telling you that the Malaysian ringgit's done well against the dollar. So my point, folks, is that you can't invest in foreign currencies. They're for trading. That's right. They're for trading. You understand that? You've got to trade foreign currencies because they are futures contracts. What does that mean? That means you can only hold a foreign currency for a short time frame. And after it's over, those contracts expire. And you've got to buy new contracts. And that costs money. So you can't really invest in foreign currencies. Okay? Other than buying the physical currency and holding it, but that's just stupid. So let's take a look here. So let's take a look at a 10-year chart. Okay? So you tell me what the dollar has done. This is the US dollar versus the Malaysian ringgit. What's the dollar done, right, versus the Malaysian ringgit? Past 10 years, 20 years, you understand. You understand what I'm saying, folks? So I don't care. You shouldn't care what a currency does over a short time frame. In fact, you shouldn't probably even care what any currency does over any time frame with respect to your currency, unless you live in Venezuela or Argentina or Zimbabwe or some third world shithole. But if you're living in an advanced country, don't ever be concerned about your fucking currency to the extent where you're exchanging your currency to get into foreign currency trading. That's a fucking scam. Okay? But this is what he's telling you, basically. Disinformation from a fraudster. Let's hear this again. Hear how he's... So think about this. You hear this and think about how he's getting people to think, oh, my currency, oh my gosh, well, he's got solutions for me because he gives investment advice. He's going to tell me. You understand? What a fraud this guy is. Play it again.
Hey, the Malaysian ringgit's not doing too bad against the U.S. dollar. And so you've seen the U.S. dollar has sunk against other currencies. If you had opened bank accounts in those countries to hold their currency, not just your own, but other currencies. If you had invested in projects like here in Portugal, you can get a golden visa by investing in euros. They give you a residence permit. It leads to citizenship. It's like 2 or 3 birds killed with one stone.
No, that's not true. Folks, first of all, this guy is lying. Okay? So think about it for a second. You're going to take your U.S. dollars and you're going to open up a bank account in some other country. Okay? First of all, unless you're a criminal, I don't think you want to do that. Okay? You don't want to do that. Do you know the protections, the safeties of these banks, the banking system of these other countries, right? He's telling you, oh, buy a property in Portugal. Buy an overpriced property. That's what I said, overpriced. Overpriced. See, the golden visa in Portugal now, they've restricted the location. You can no longer buy it in the capital. You got to buy it now. Why? Because they want to make you buy it in less desirable areas, and you're going to basically overpay. Okay? But he's saying, yes, buy a property there, and you can get a citizenship. Why do you want a citizenship in Portugal, by the way? Why would you want that? Right? I don't understand why you'd want that. If you're going to relocate, go to a country where you can get a long-term visa. There's plenty of countries out there where you can do it. Thailand's economy is so fucked up, they haven't recovered from the COVID, that they've launched 2 very generous visas for even broke dick digital douchebags, where you can stay long-term in Thailand. Okay? With basically no requirements, essentially. You can be a broke dick fucking loser, show 15 grand in your bank account, and you can get a 5-year visa to Thailand, where you can stay 6 months on each stay. You leave the country and come back. Okay? They also have a 10-year visa now. And one of the criteria, there's 5 different criteria. I'm not going to go over them all, but you can go on the website and look for yourself. One of the criteria is called the wealthy pensioner. So if you make $80,000 passive income every year, you can get a 10-year visa to Thailand. That's it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to invest in Thailand. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to put money in a bank in Thailand. 10-year visa. Okay? It's 5 years, renewable every 5 years, basically. It's basically will cost you about maybe $2,000 for that visa, for a 10-year visa to Thailand, FYI. Now, if you go to this guy, I can guarantee you. Matter of fact, you might want to go and check. Go contact this guy. Go ahead, experiment. Tell him you want to get the long-term residency LTR in Thailand. That's the 10-year visa. Okay. Let him know you make passive income, say 100,000. Okay. That's not too difficult if you're older or you've got investments. This dividend income right there, easy, boom. Contact him, okay, and tell them, here's what you do. You don't pay nothing to these motherfuckers because they want to suck you and make you pay tens of thousands of dollars, or maybe pay $500. They want to suck you in, and so you feel like you've already invested you more and more and more and more, and then you get. But tell them, here's the deal. You're not paying them nothing up front, okay? You want a LTR visa. Tell them you want a long-term visa in Thailand. Don't even tell them the visa. Tell them you want a long-term visa in Thailand. And how much does it cost? Okay? How much does it cost is what you ask him. Okay? Tell him you make passive income over 100,000. Okay? And they'll probably steer you to the long-term visa, long-term residency visa, which is also good for your spouse and kids, which is incredible. You can also work legally on that visa. That visa gives you a work permit. So it's really a spectacular visa. It's the Thai government, they're fucking desperate. They're desperate as fuck. This visa came out before the tariffs. So do that. You can go through and get that visa. You can apply for it on your own. They have it on their website. They've got it shows you how to do it. And the fee is like $1,600. Okay? Go through this guy and see what he charges. I guarantee he's going to charge you $30,000, $50,000, something like that. He's a fraud. He's an absolute fraud. Okay?
Stone. And in the last couple of days, with the euro appreciating against the dollar, you could have made some money on that on paper. Speaking of
so you can make some money on paper, folks. It's just like what I talked about earlier. Okay, I look at the stock market. Okay, my portfolio's up $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in one day. I mean, so what? Because it goes down the next day, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. That's just market volatility, short term. That's what he's talking about here. It doesn't matter to anybody. But you see, he's using that to fool people, to con people who aren't thinking like I've just explained to you. That shows this guy is a pure fraud. Everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is a lie or disinformation. And it's all twisted to get you to fall into his cult so he can suck as much money out of you as possible. And this guy ain't no different than any other of these motherfuckers on YouTube. They're all the same. It's all about their character. They're complete fucking degenerate scumbags. And you need to learn to spot these people, to spot their character. Okay? And you need to learn to recognize the circle jerk. Folks, I'm telling you, the more of these fuckers you recognize, you're going to go on their website, on their channel, and Andrew Henderson's there. Yep, the guy's a fraud, right? This channel's a fraud. They got Henderson there. Why? Obviously, you're judged by the company you keep. Robert Kiyosaki, same deal, right?
Nomad Capitalist Live is coming up April 15th. Tickets go on sale at nomadcapitalist.com/live. And we're going to have experts from all around the world talking about asymmetrical investments.
Wait a second. Don't miss another sold-out event. So it's sold out? Well, he's telling you to sign up. How is it already sold out? I mean, you understand. Come on. So he's using the term asymmetrical investments. Like that one guy, Heresy Financial, his little fucking scam. Right? Folks, these guys, they throw out fancy terms. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never worked in the fucking stock market. Okay? He's a fraud. And I guess this explains now why this Mobius fucking con man is going to be there. He's going to be there to pitch his fucking bullshit investments, to reel in a bunch of sheep.
From Latin America to Africa to Asia, to AI on a global scale outside of the U.S., to AI investments.
So listen to this.
About asymmetrical investments. From Latin America to Africa to Asia, to AI on a global...
So let me tell you something, folks, right now. If you don't know what I'm going to tell you right now, you're in deep fucking trouble. If you don't know that you don't need to be investing in Asia, Latin America, or Africa versus the U.S., you're in deep fucking trouble. And as I said before, for any idiots out there for instance, who want to tell people to buy a world stock market index. That's fucking stupid. Take a look at the performance. It's fucking shit. You don't want to invest in the Ma and Pa store in the Philippines. You don't want to invest in fucking Jollibee in the Philippines. You want to invest in McDonald's in the Philippines. That's why you buy the McDonald's stock listed in the U.S. market or through the S&P index. You see, if you want international investments, you fucking got it through the S&P 500, because 40% or so of the annual revenues from the S&P 500 come from, guess where? Overseas. But we're talking about multinational, powerful, successful companies overseas. You understand? You're investing in McDonald's that goes overseas, not in the local fast food restaurants that don't do as well, that aren't run as well, that aren't capitalized as well. You got it? Any fucking questions on that? Nobody can fucking argue with me on this shit. None of this shit. You bring the top expert you can find. They don't know what the fuck they're talking. I'm speaking the facts. These are facts. This is not opinion. It's facts. But you don't hear this shit, do you? You're not hearing this stuff. Why not? Because you're dealing with a whole fucking world of scammers. And that world is primarily on the internet these days. Why rob a bank? Why? The banks don't have as much money as they used to, right? And look at the consequences. It's an open and shut case. You can go to jail. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to scam people if you're a dishonest piece of shit. White collar crime. You see, fraud. That's easier to do. Why would you run a Ponzi scheme? Only an idiot would run a Ponzi scheme. You're going to get caught. It's inevitable. Instead, sell hope and fear and lie. You see? The more difficult scam, the more difficult crime to go after. You see, because Ponzi scheme, robbing a bank, those are criminal offenses. You understand? What Andrew Henderson, what Nomad Capitalist is doing, what all these gold pumpers are doing, what all these cryptocurrency guys are doing, it's not a criminal offense. These are civil offenses. You understand? So you don't have the federal government going after these guys. This is why they rarely get prosecuted. What has to happen is you have to go after them in a civil lawsuit, or there has to be enough complaints to the Federal Trade Commission so that they take action. You see? So why would you have to be a complete fucking idiot to rob a bank, to cheat a bank, to run a Ponzi scheme, anything like that? Don't do that if you're a criminal piece of shit. Just scam people. The difference is huge. Right? Criminal fraud versus civil fraud. There's a huge difference. You see, the civil fraud usually will land you, if convicted, in a judgment, a financial judgment. A criminal will land you in fucking jail. You see? This is the new wave of scam. This is why people don't really rob banks anymore, especially with the internet. The internet has created a gravy train for scammers. Like I said, folks, the internet began as pornography and scams. And that's largely what it is today. It's just that the scams are much more. Early days of the internet was mostly pornography, right? Now it's mostly scams.
Global scale outside of the U.S., go to and check out the lineup, nomadcapitalist.com/live. We've got Glenn Greenwald, the co-founder of Apple, the former president of Mexico. They're all coming. They all have something to tell you. But what I have to
So let me ask you a question. What's the former president of Mexico going to tell me? She's talking about investments. What's this guy going to know about investments? Nothing. What's Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, what's he going to know about investments? Nothing. Okay? Nothing.
tell you is that lineup at Nomad Capitalist Live mirrors exactly what my thoughts are on the global stock market crash. Listen, there's going to be up days, there's going to be down days. If you can soften the down days by being diversified, that's going to be your strength in the long run. And so, but what I have to tell you is that lineup at Nomad Capitalist Live mirrors exactly what my thoughts are on the global stock market crash. Listen, there's going to be up days, there's going to be down days. If you can soften the down days by being diversified, that's going to be your strength in the long run. And so I've told you, have different currencies, be in different stock markets, have real estate around the world, and do that in different places. Right? I own real estate in Kuala Lumpur because I want to live there. It is not the best investment in the world. It's incredibly affordable real estate, and if you come to the event, I hope you'll check it out. I mean, probably, 1/8 the price of some of the stuff we're seeing in Lisbon per square foot or per square meter. But that may be the property that's going to hold its value either on a currency basis. I mean, the ringgit's doing okay right now.
You see, this proves right here, unless they've changed it recently, which I doubt they have, this proves right here this guy is a complete fucking idiot. Not just a scammer, an idiot. I mean, think about it. You're a scammer pretending like that you have some special knowledge about getting visas and passports and you don't, okay? He doesn't even know. I don't even follow this shit. He doesn't even know. Remember I mentioned earlier in Portugal, you cannot get real estate in that in their golden visa program. In everywhere now, it's restricted to certain places. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can no longer buy real estate to qualify for a golden visa in Lisbon. So why is he mentioning Lisbon? Because he doesn't fucking know that.
But in terms of, stock markets dropping, where can I diversify my money where it's growing faster? I looked at some of the frontier markets that I've invested in. Even during COVID, they outperformed. Places like Cambodia, we've talked about.
I mean, do you hear this shit, folks? Who in the fuck in their right mind would recommend people to move to or invest in Cambodia? Does anybody here have an idea about Cambodia? Anybody have let me explain to you about Cambodia. Cambodian people, they're friendly people, they're nice people, but Cambodia, number one, is a shithole. Okay? It's an absolute shithole. Number two, Cambodia attracts the lowest level expats, generally speaking, from the West. Why? Because it's a low-cost shithole. Drugs are freely available in Cambodia. Okay? You can go to the pharmacies and get illicit narcotics, illicit in the West anyway, ketamine, all kind of shit. So you got a lot of druggies that go there. Okay? You can also go there and survive okay teaching English without a degree. So you're obviously getting a bunch of uneducated fucking losers going there to do drugs, right, and teach English. And probably the most problematic issue there, I would say, is Cambodia is known as a haven for pedophiles. You have families that sell their young children into sex slavery. That's known. That place is known for that. Okay? So, like, why would anybody support that type of country? I've stayed away from Cambodia specifically for that reason. Never support that. Okay? Who do you think is buying those children? You have people from the West that specifically go to Cambodia for that purpose. That's fact. The more recent issue with Cambodia has been taken over by China. And that's why you've got all the scam centers located in Cambodia now. All these scam call centers and fake romance scams and stuff. Okay? So, obviously, Cambodia, I mean, think about, is that a place where you want to invest? Are you fucking insane? If you think you want to invest in Cambodia, you haven't been to Cambodia. Once again, the people are nice and friendly. They're still suffering from the massive genocide that occurred there decades ago. But anybody that recommends going to Cambodia, to move to Cambodia or invest in Cambodia, is just completely fucking out of their mind. Absolutely out of their fucking mind. You've got no protections in these countries. Okay, do you really think you've got an FDIC in the banking system in Cambodia? I mean, their currency is so like, their banking system is so much bullshit that they actually use the dollar. That's like the main currency they use in Cambodia. Okay. You think they have protections? I guess they've got a stock market. I mean, it seems like every single country, even the fucking bullshit countries, have a stock market. Do you really want to invest in Cambodian stock market? Do you think their stock market is legitimate? You got Andrew Henderson telling you about Cambodia as he speaks from Colombia here, or wherever he is.
Places like Cambodia, we've talked about. If you look at some of the banks in Georgia, they got beat up last year to the local events, and they've actually done pretty well.
So you hear that? I mean, this is like taking a page out of Doug Casey's scam book. He's now telling you about investment opportunities in Georgia? What? I mean, like Johnny FD, the digital nomad fucking scammer, right? Georgia? I think Georgia might be a little bit risky situation. If you don't know why, pull up a fucking map.
This year, again, everything's getting beaten up in the last couple of days, but they've done pretty well compared to banks in other parts of the world. And you've seen, bank stocks outside of the United States having, in many cases, taking a softer blow. So, yes, to some extent, diversification is the price to pay for just, for ignorance, right? Warren Buffett talks about that. And he says, just buy stocks that you have a high conviction of, buy property you have a high conviction of, stop trying.
So you hear that? So this guy is such a fucking bullshit artist. I can guarantee you his cult doesn't catch this. Did you catch it? Did anybody catch it? He's floating out all these stupid ideas to invest in countries with no rule of law, third world countries, shitholes, right? And then he tells you, invest in stocks that you believe in, you have high conviction. How the fuck are you going to know about any high conviction stocks in Cambodia, in Georgia, right? You understand? This guy is such a fucking bullshit artist and con man fraudster. It's unbelievable, man.
Trying to do too many different things. What I've always taken issue with that is what happens when a political event that you have no control over and you couldn't predict it happens. They're called black swan events. COVID, 9/11. I mean, how many other things? Maybe this is.
You hear that? So he wants to scare you with the bullshit black swan events. It's funny, by the way, I've mentioned this before. This guy, what's his name? Nicholas Taleb, Mr. Black Swan, right? You may think he's Middle Eastern, but you got it wrong. All you got to do is look at how he's promoted. You know his background. You know his true ethnicity, by the way. Okay? It's funny, this guy's writing a book in 2007 about not being able to predict things. Things happen all of a sudden. Isn't it ironic? I write a book the year before predicting the whole fucking financial crisis in detail, right? And he gets celebrated as some fucking genius when I actually predicted. I wrote a book predicting the whole goddamn thing. You don't think so? Look at the 2 chapters below in the description and read it. Study it. Okay? Think about that. Anybody that talks about Black Swan is a fucking idiot. These are the same people who talk about Michael Burry. Just dumbasses who follow what the media pushes. That's the dumb money, folks. Get with the fucking program. First of all, I don't take investment questions or do any type of investment analysis here. Okay? But I'll go ahead and answer this one question for you because it's a good learning point. Someone's asking about investing in South Africa. Well, if you live in South Africa, I think it's suitable to invest in South Africa. If you don't live in South Africa, I don't think that's a particularly good idea. You don't know the political landscape there. You don't know what's going on there. You understand. In addition to, you're dealing with a country that's quite fucked up, in case you don't know that. Maybe you do know that. You're dealing with major apartheid there. What they're doing, they're chasing the white people out of that country, burning businesses down. I mean, maybe you want to look into what's going on in South Africa. It's a complete fucked up shithole. There's no opportunity for people. Everybody's leaving South Africa who can, because the opportunity is fucked there. So I don't know why you'd want to invest in South Africa. South Africa is a resource-centric country. I don't know that natural resources, this is the time to invest in natural resources. Okay? So that's my answer. If you're a foreigner looking to invest in South Africa, I think you can probably do a lot better elsewhere. Okay? That's just kind of generally speaking. The bottom line, folks, is you want to invest in places you know the best, and that would be your own home country. unless your country is a third world shithole. Okay? Always invest in your own country. Okay? And if you can, invest in the U.S. Don't ever bet against the empire. The U.S. is the empire. It's just a fact. I mean, I'm not a person that really likes the U.S. I have a lot of bad things to say about the U.S. I'm the U.S.'s biggest critic, but I'm not a delusional, one-sided fucking moron who's pushing an agenda. I'm an objective, logical critic of the U.S. It has its good points and it has its bad points. But one thing's for damn sure, you don't want to bet against America. America controls the world, like it or not. Okay? And that's the way it's going to be through our lifetime, at least. No doubt about it. Okay? That's just a fact. It's a simple common sense fact. So if you can invest in America, it's obviously the best risk-reward investment you're going to make in general. The U.S. stock market, for instance. Okay? So, just buy the S&P index. That's it. That's all. So you hear this guy once again manipulating people. He's talking about so-called black swan events. Okay. The financial crisis was not a black swan event, by the way. And you're hearing that it was. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I predicted it. The only person in the world who did predict it. Yeah, sure, you may think it's a black swan event because you got guys out there who claim they predicted it, but they're broken clocks, like Peter Schiff. He didn't predict nothing. If he was going to predict it, he would have advised shorting the bank stocks, shorting the subprimes, shorting Fannie and Freddie Mae, like I did in my second book on the financial crisis. Okay? The chapter is in the description, by the way, for free. Take a look. Okay? But he talks about so-called black swan events. You heard that? 9/11, the pandemic, right? So I'll let you listen to it again to reveal his con artistry tactics here.
When a political event that you have no control over and you couldn't have predicted happens. They're called black swan events. COVID, 9/11. I mean, how many other things? Maybe this is the next black swan event.
You hear that? So think about that for a second. He talks about COVID, 9/11. These are things that, 9/11 obviously affected the U.S. markets, the U.S. economy. COVID was really, for the most part, a U.S. The pandemic was, the lockdown was a U.S. thing, right? The U.S. controlled that. The U.S. is the one that basically got the world to lock down, okay? So notice how he doesn't talk about the kinds of crazy, insane, ridiculous things that happen in the shitholes that he recommends you go to and you invest in. I mean, do you all understand the types of insanity that can happen in Colombia? Right? How about Thailand? They have a fucking military coup, like, on average every, 5 or 6 years or so. You all know that, right? They've had 14, 15 or more military coups, right? Folks, when you're talking about developing countries, you're talking about, if you want to use that term, black swan, you're talking about all kinds of fucking black swan events. I mean, no rule of law. A lot of these countries are, banana republics, totalitarian, right? You all do realize that, right? You do understand that. You all have been in these countries, have you not? But yet, he wants to focus on some things that affect America. Why? Because he wants to con you. You understand the game. You see how this guy, folks, you understand now why I told you all before. Any video from any of these guys, I could watch the video and it would take me hours to go through, because every fucking thing they say, I could just chop up and refute and debunk and show you what they're doing. It's just so obvious. These guys are so easy. They're so easy to expose, because it just, once you understand the mind of a con man, of a fraudster, and you have a knowledge base, that's the key thing here is, I think everybody can learn how these fraudsters think, but you got to have the knowledge base of the capital markets, of economics, of other things. If you don't have that knowledge base, then you're going to be fooled.
And so if you can be diversified across jurisdictions, one of the things that
well, as I said, if you want to be diversified, the best way is to buy the S&P 500, okay? Best way to be diversified is to buy the S&P 500. The end. You don't want to be buying the stock markets in Cambodia or Colombia. Okay? You don't want to be buying that shit. Okay? You want to buy real estate in some of these countries? Well, a lot of these countries you have no protections. Zero protections. Okay? A great example, obviously, I mean, take a look at Thailand. The real estate scams there, I need to do some videos on Thailand alone. You're not hearing about it. All you hear about these videos, oh, look at the condo, it's cheap price, I bought it. Folks, there are so many scams in Thailand. It's the land of scams. You know that, right? Not the land of smiles. The land of scams. They smile in order to get your money. Thailand exists in order to take the money from foreigners. Okay? Thailand exists for that purpose, to take the money from foreigners. Okay? Some ways they take it legally. That's why they've got a tourist industry. They have a professional tourist industry. It's everything is, you know, to get the tourists to come and spend money. But you also have a lot of scams in Thailand, as you do in the developing world. Why? Once again, folks, no rule of law. And when you're a foreigner, you got no fucking say. Okay? You're an outsider. They see you as an outsider. You got no rights, you got nothing. Okay? This guy is completely full of shit, complete fraudster.
I've been telling you about. I have a fund in frontier market Asia that I'm an investor in. And they were talking about, you know, countries like Uzbekistan where they invest, and saying if these tariffs come to fruition, this is a couple months ago, if the tariffs come to fruition, there's really not much importing and exporting from these countries, and certainly none to the U.S. and the West. And so there's a built-in sort of isolation. One thing I think is if you're just...
I mean, you hear the stupidity here. You hear the Uzbekistan. I mean, folks, there's many companies, by the way, in America that aren't reliant on tariffs and who are global, by the way. In fact, the experts, this is not my viewpoint, okay, because but the experts now are pushing Netflix as the safe haven, right? Of course, Netflix is one of my stocks. I've been recommending it since 2009 at a cost basis of about 15 to 20 cents a share, split adjusted. That's the same cost basis about as in my NVIDIA, okay? Nobody in the world, right? I put that in a book, actually. So, folks, once again, this guy takes advantage of people who don't know anything, okay? You got to understand when you're ignorant. When you understand that you're ignorant, you're going to realize, hey, I'm going to stay away. I don't know what I'm doing. If you don't realize you're ignorant, you're going to fall for con artists, especially if you're greedy. If you don't know what you're doing, buy the S&P 500. You listen to this guy, and you're going to lose your ass. And you might literally lose your ass by taking his advice to move to some fucking third world dangerous, very dangerous shithole like Colombia. Okay? If you don't think it's dangerous in Latin America, then you have no fucking idea what's going on. I'm not saying every place there is dangerous. It's generally very dangerous in Latin America, which is one reason, the main reason why I didn't move there. It's too fucking dangerous there.
It's invested, and I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not giving you investment advice. But if you're only in the S&P 500, you might...
See, he tells you he's not giving investment advice as a disclaimer here. Meanwhile, if you go on his website, he'll mention investments.
Might want to reconsider this, not only because the kind of period that it seems we're going into now is one at which emerging markets produce outsized returns.
You hear that? He shows the S&P with a chart going down. You see that? And he's telling you about the emerging markets. Get into the emerging markets, right? You hear that? Hear that? I wonder if he's going to be around to tell you when to get out of the emerging markets to get in the S&P. No, he won't. He'll never tell you that because that ruins his whole narrative. Bad U.S., dangerous U.S., evil U.S. Yeah. Invest in Cambodia. Invest in Uzbekistan. Invest in Colombia. Right? What a fucking scammer. Total fucking fraud this guy is.
There's some charts that I've been looking at recently that say these years that we think are coming up are not great markets for Western in particular.
So you hear that? He's been looking at some charts that say these aren't good years. Folks, you're listening to one of the top investment analysts in the world, probably the top. And I can tell you right now, always stick, if you've got one investment option, stick with the power, the superpower, the empire, the America, the S&P 500, okay? Emerging markets, and I've said this before, you got to know what's going on in emerging markets. I invest in emerging markets, but guess what? I know what the fuck is going on. I research the emerging markets. I'm a top expert in China. I've been researching China's economy for 25 years. I predicted the boom in China at the turn of the century. I predicted the bust in China. Okay? So you got to know what's going on. Emerging markets, as I've shown, there are times to be in and times to be out. Sometimes those periods last a long time, right? But long term, by and large, buy and hold in emerging markets is not a great thing to do. It's not so good. You're better off in the S&P 500 or the index of your advanced nation. Okay? Emerging markets are volatile. And hopefully now you understand why they're volatile. Take a look at what's going on in China. Matter of fact, let's take a look at China while we're talking about the emerging markets here. Let's take a look. Okay, I'll go ahead and give you guys a little treat here. Should I show you? I should probably update Kathy Woodstocks to show you the disaster. What a fucking fraud and disaster she is. Fraud, disaster, idiot. Let me go ahead and show you here. Okay. Let's take a look. Now, if you were an investor in China, okay, if you invested in China back even during its surge and you just bought and hold, you didn't do too well. Okay, you got to know when to get in and when the fuck to get out. Okay, take a look at now. This is the Shanghai. Now you can't. By the way, you can't invest in the Shanghai. You cannot unless you are Chinese. You're living in mainland China. Okay. Oh wow. Oh, it doesn't go too. We don't have the data for the Shanghai. Let's go to now. You can invest in FXI. FXI. That's the H shares, the shares listed in Hong Kong of the 50 largest market cap companies in China. So this is the safest index to invest in China. If you want Chinese stocks, these are listed in Hong Kong, which basically it's it's a little better than buying the ADRs in America, the U.S. market, I think, because those could be delisted at any time, by the way, by the U.S. But still, it's not 100% safe, right? Nonetheless, if you want to invest in China, take a look. Take a look. This is FXI, okay? You're not doing too well. The only way you'd be making money is if you got in when I recommended buying China when I wrote my book here. Of course, I mentioned to get out of China during the collapse. And I actually recommended getting back in late 2008, which is around here. And, up and down for a long time. I'm not messing with FXI now. There's too much risk in China. Short-term trading, yeah, whatever. It's just too much risk. But you see that? Take a look. This is typical of emerging markets because many things can happen. Okay? There's time to be in emerging markets and time to be out. If you're in the stock market as a long-term investor, you want long-term capital appreciation. You don't want the ups and downs. That's active management. You got to have a lot more experience, sophistication to manage that, to understand what's going on. So what do? You don't buy emerging markets. Guess what you buy? You buy the fucking S&P 500 index. Okay? The same time period, 2006, this is what you get. You got it? Any motherfucking questions? Remember, S&P 500 has 40 to 50%, depending upon the year, of its revenues from international markets overseas. You want to be diversified? You got it with the fucking S&P. Okay? Any fucking questions? I don't think so. Okay. Andrew Henderson is a fraud. Anyone that promotes international investing as a primary means of investing is a scammer. It's that simple. They're a scammer. Okay? Can you invest internationally? Yeah. You shouldn't do it too much. And as I mentioned 3 years ago, if you're going to do it, you know, emerging markets, India is the place to be. But even India now, you know, their financial sector is quite bloated, and there's a lot of risk, and the Indian market's very overvalued. India could very easily have a major correction, a major bear market, because India has rode a nice fucking wave, the Modi wave. What Modi has done. Okay, so you know, if you never invested in India, I don't know that this period is the time to be getting involved. You kind of missed a lot of the upside in India, you see. Okay, Peter Schiff and his international investments, fucking bullshit, high-priced, shitty performance. Okay, I showed you his mutual fund performance. Gold is up 50% or more since the highs from the pandemic, and Peter Schiff's gold fund is down 50%. Can you believe that? I mean, his GLD, the gold ETF, outperforms Peter Schiff's gold mutual fund by 600%, by sixfold. He can't even beat the fucking gold ETF. Folks, I'm telling you, anybody on YouTube pitching anything, they're all fucking scammers. I'm telling you. And that includes these people, the travel vloggers, telling you about these paradises and all this bullshit. They're all grifting for your money. Whether it's advertisement revenue or pitching their affiliate links or selling you their courses. You've got people living in Philippines and all these other countries telling you, wow, I do one-on-one calls. If you want to relocate, I'll give you and they're charging $200 for an hour for their call, or $300 to call them, to contact them. Why do you think this guy, why he's going? Forrest Lee. Okay? He's going now. He's gonna have his calls. Oh, you want to call and see about relocating to Thailand? Do a call with me. Let's take a look. I don't know if he has that, but a lot of these people do. Let's take a look and see if he does have that. Okay? Let's take a look and see if he has that. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. How to legally escape high taxes. You see that? You see that? He's promoting this fucking scam. Now we know I remember earlier I said I don't know that he's a scammer. Now he's a scammer. He's pitching the narrative of a known fraudster. Forrest Lee is now a bona fide scam artist pitching horse shit. Okay, you see that? He's even selling tickets. Of course, he's got his affiliate link probably. He's selling tickets for this fucking shit. There you go. This is good. These guys are shady. Do a search and you'll uncover. Really shocking. Folks, please add to this discourse here. This is a scam. Oh, that's good. Wow, I'm starting to feel some hope about the YouTube audience. So there's some hope. I mean, even seeing a couple people. Unsubscribe. Boom! Yes! I love it. Wow. I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the YouTube audience. Just finding a small handful of people who know that Andrew Henderson is a fucking fraud. It makes me feel good. I feel good about humanity. Wow. You see that? Let's listen to this.
So I have some exciting news that I want to share with you all. I have been invited as a guest speaker for this year's Nomad Capitalist Live. Nomad Capitalist Live is happening on September 17th through 2025 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This is the
So, by the way, let me just tell you guys the other part of the scam, how this works. He wants to make you think like, wow, all these people paid? Wow, they all... No. First of all, he sends in all his crew, a bunch of people for free. Most of those people that you see here are free. Now, what he does have to pay for is he's got to pay Steve Wozniak's big fucking fat ass. Put money in his big fucking fat ass pockets, okay? And maybe a couple of other paid speakers, right? And he's got to pay for the facilities. So he's got to pay a lot of money here, probably, a couple of $100,000 for the speakers and the event and the venue, okay? He ain't making all this fucking... Most of these people are free. I can guarantee you that. I know for sure. Okay? And so the way this event is, if he can make money, that's the icing on top of the cake. That's the bonus. What this event is really about is trying to create, add to the mirage, the smoke and mirrors that he's got a real company and it's legit and there's all these people. Wow, there's demand. He must be legit. He must be great. So he can sell his scammy services. I mean, think about it. If he's spending $200,000 on this event, that's nothing. He sucks people in for $100,000. You understand? That's a great investment if he can pitch this enough for them to think it's legitimate. This is how it works, folks. What a fucking fraud.
They've got...
Oh, here we go.
The government policy, and they've got...
I got to hear this again. Stem cell brain.
If the Dutch can do it, if the Taiwanese can do it, if the Americans can do it, it's very clear that the Chinese can do it too. They've got the stem cell brains.
Hey, the Chinese got the stem cell brains, so they can do it. I've never heard anything so ridiculous, I don't think. The stem cell brains? I mean... How does one, I'm bewildered. The stem cell brains? What the fuck is that? I mean, that's kind of like what they're doing. That, in fact, that's kind of the latest research out of Japan. There's a Japanese company I saw that they used progenitor cells, stem cells. That's progenitors, and it's progenitor cells is the official academic word for stem cells, basically. There's different types of progenitive cells, different lineages. But they used stem cells to treat a Parkinson's disease patient. They injected treated stem cells into a Parkinson's patient in their brain, and it showed improvement, by the way. Okay? By the way. So, I think he should learn what a stem cell is. It kind of shows that he's an idiot. Not to mention the backdrop here with his curtains, and he's got his little book, and it's got this cheap suit with it. I mean, come on, dude. You can look at this picture and tell this guy's a total fucking clown. Anyway, let's get back to Henderson here. Oh, Forrest Lee wants to show you this.
World's #1 event for global citizens, where top entrepreneurs, investors, and thought leaders will share actionable strategies for
you hear that? So Forrest the Gump is reading off a list that Andrew gave him. Okay.
Investors.
Hear this. Listen. Hear.
Global citizens, where top entrepreneurs. It's the world's #1 event for global citizens. Where
the world's #1 event for global citizens.
Top entrepreneurs. Investors.
And
thought leaders.
And thought leaders. Okay. False, wrong, lie, scam. Sorry, you're a liar. Forrest Lee, you're reading from a script. You're not verifying this. You are an absolute participant, an accomplice in the fraudulent activities of Andrew Henderson.
Strategies for protecting wealth.
I gave this GIMP the benefit of the doubt earlier. You all might recall when I mentioned this guy, this Forrest Lee. I said, look, he's a loser, hanging out in Thailand, probably doing some digital nomad bullshit, and a typical guy that can't make it, so he moves to Thailand or one of these other countries. Can't make it. That's why I moved. Right? They can't cut the mustard. So I said, you know what? I don't know if he's scamming though. I have no proof that he's scamming because I don't see what he's doing. You know, he's just making videos, kind of bullshit videos. But now I've got the evidence. Now he's entered the realm of a bona fide fucking scammer. You see, by going to that event, he's already a little bit implicated. But he's actually promoting it. He's promoting this. He's making all these false claims. Andrew Henderson is a fraud, is a scammer. Forrest Lee, you are an accomplice to this guy, and you are a piece of trash.
And navigating through today's economic uncertainties. I'll be speaking at this year's event alongside Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, and others offering insights on how to stay ahead in a rapidly changing world. If you want to learn...
Yeah, so what kind of insights is this fucking clown going to offer? Oh, let's take a look here. Let's take a look and see what kind of insights. So this guy basically, he served in the army, okay? So you can tell he had a great future ahead of himself, right? Okay. Look at the insights from a guy that was in the army for like 5 years or something like that. Of course, he promotes this guy. This Paul Lee guy who I already featured, right? This CNBC Make It fucking bullshit artist. These guys, folks, you see what's going on? Their career is creating fake content about how their lives are great. Oh, a great life, a cheap life in Thailand. Oh, wow, look at this. Yeah, okay. Well, why don't you say something about the king? Say something about the government. Let's see how long it takes for them to put your fucking ass in jail. Okay? By the way. Okay? Let's see you piss off a Thai person that might just kind of want to go after you. You see, because in Thailand, by the way, in case you don't know this, the mentality is Thailand is for Thais. They don't want you there as a foreigner. They don't want you to live there. You're not going to hear that by anybody on YouTube. All these expats in Thailand, they don't want to tell you that. Most of them are too stupid to realize that the other ones aren't going to say it. They don't want you there. They're very xenophobic people, by the way. They're very polite. They smile, and they're very well-mannered, but they don't want you there past the weekend to spend your money for a vacation. That's the truth. That none of these fuckers are going to talk about, by the way. Yeah, leave America! Okay, great. See this? What type of insights is this guy going to give you? Right? How to select the best quality pad thai? Right? How to pick up bar girls? I mean, I don't understand. This is the guy that's going to be talking at the Nomad Capitalist Summit. And you know why? You know why? Because he's part of Andrew's hook. He's using this guy to hook in people. More suckers. You understand? That's why he's getting this guy. You see, everybody has a purpose. Everybody, I'm going to show these people here in a second. Everybody's got a purpose here. Go through the list and see. Okay? Wozniak is the celebrity guy. Oh, wow, he co-founded Apple. But people don't know that he co-founded Apple, and Apple was a fucking disaster up until the year 2000, essentially. Okay? Apple was a fucking disaster for many years. Okay? Only when Steve Jobs took back the helm, right, after his stint through Pixar, and then Disney bought Pixar, and he learned a lot of stuff about, you know, media and things of that nature. That's why Apple took off. You see, Steve Jobs, before he had that experience through his studio, Pixar, and then through Disney, but mainly Pixar, before that experience, Steve Jobs was about his computer, the Macintosh, our own software, Macintosh, right? Well, what is Apple now? Apple now is not, you don't think of it as a computer company. They're a media company. Media, I mean, what do you think the iPhone is? The iPhone is a fucking media device, right? It's a media device. You understand? They started with the music, with his MP3, right? His iPod, right? So Steve Wozniak wasn't involved in any of that stuff. Zero. That's why his big fat fucking ass is living off of speaker fees. You see? That's why he's a professional speaker. As I showed earlier. See that? You see? So that's who's going to this. He's got the celebrity guy. This girl brings in her slew of gold kingpins. You know, let's say, quote, attractive female here. It's all dolled up, right? Got this guy. I don't know what he does. Another celebrity Mexico guy, Bitcoin guy, right? You know, some British chancellor of some fucking shithole. I don't know what this is. I mean, this guy, you could probably pay him $1,000. He's happy. Pay him $1,000. Give him a free hotel room. I'm there. Boom. I'm happy. Right? This guy's gonna be pitching some bullshit investments. Right? Here's one of his little staff. I mean, do you see, folks? When you see these people, ask yourself, like, how are they presenting themselves? Is it a sexy kind of picture, or is it a professional picture? Right? Doug Casey, this picture's like 30 years old, complete fraudster. He's going to bring his whole slew of disinformation and bullshit. You just go through the list, right? I talked about this fucking pro-China disinformation CCP shill, right? And then you got Forrest here, all these fucking clowns, Lynette Zane, the gold pumper, right? Just go through. Horse shit. I don't know what the beauty queens are doing here. I guess, you know, oh wow, I want to meet these girls. You know, maybe some guys are thinking like, oh well, they're from like, you know, they're from third world countries. Maybe I can give them $1,000 to have sex. And by the way, if you think that's not possible, then you don't know how things work in these countries. But guess what? I do, because I got my fucking ears and eyes wide open. That's right. By the way, I don't know about these girls in particular, but I'm just telling you, don't think that, believe me, folks. Anyway, one more thing here. Yeah. So this is interesting here. So this is another example of Andrew Henderson's complete bullshit. What this guy does, he just reads articles online, doesn't know what he's talking about, and he promotes them as true. So he's going to promote here golden visa in Vietnam and I think Malaysia. Let's listen to this.
Southeast Asia are expanding their immigration programs and giving you a chance to go there as an entrepreneur or an investor. And today I'm going to tell you what they are and how you can qualify for these new residence permits in Asia.
Okay, so you hear that? So first of all, it's making you think, oh, Asia's expanding their programs. They're opening the door for entrepreneurs and expats with new visa programs, right? Okay. You see the title here?
I'm Andrew Henderson, the founder of Nomad Countless, and
You're a fraud.
the author of the book Nomad Countless. I'm
You're a fraud. I guarantee you didn't write that fucking stupid bullshit marketing book.
on location in Portugal this week, meeting with vendors and filming Live Like a King Lisbon forthcoming, but wanted to share...
Live like a king, Lisbon. You hear that? So, see, folks, he's sales and marketing. Smoke and mirrors. Sales and marketing, smoke and mirrors, absolute fucking fraud.
some industry news with you. The first is that Malaysia, where we host Nomad Countless Live, where I live part-time, is rolling out a new business visa that's going to let you spend up to a 1-year period there. I don't think that is as exciting as the new 10-year golden visa that's being rolled out by a country that has been more difficult to immigrate to, and that is in Vietnam. We're going to talk about Vietnam's new proposed golden...
This is all lies, by the way. Vietnam, he makes it sound like they got a golden visa coming. Let's listen to this.
visa. Asia, and particularly...
By the way, Vietnam doesn't even have a retirement visa. All of a sudden, they're going to roll out a 10-year visa.
Southeast Asia is a part of the world that is generally tax-friendly and has generally been immigration-friendly to wealthy people. So I'll tell you what I've told you for years.
You know, by the way, it's kind of remarkable. Did you all know you can get a permanent residency in America for as little as $600,000? You don't have to pay it, by the way. You invest. $600,000 investment gets you a long-term visa in America. Did you all know that, by the way? How come Nomad Scam Artist doesn't talk about that? You see, because he wants to target people who have a lot of money, who have been sold this idea that the West is absolutely collapsing and Asia is where you want to go. Yeah, the West has problems. They're self-inflicted. That can be corrected. Asia has problems that aren't self-inflicted. They're inflicted by the rulers that run those countries. They're embedded. There's no opportunity in these developing countries. Zero opportunity. Zero freedoms and liberties. You understand that? So he can't compete with more legitimate companies that actually go and talk about these EB-5 visas to America, okay, where they have $600,000 for higher risk investments, like in Detroit, like special revenue bonds, or normally it's $800,000. He doesn't want to talk about that. He wants to talk about shady shit, okay, shady shit where he can scam people. Remember, he left the U.S. He renounced his U.S. citizenship so he could not get taken to U.S. court, which I think he still can, but it's more difficult to seize his assets, okay? So clearly he's not going to talk about U.S. Residency, U.S. selling a U.S. Long-term residency. See, he wants to pitch all this bullshit. Now he's telling you that you can get one in Vietnam. Let's listen to what he has to say.
In America, for example, generally is, do you have an income? Come on in, we're a nation of immigrants. Asia is, you're never going to entirely be one of us, but we're going to give you low taxes and a really high quality of living that maybe people don't even realize exists, but it does.
That's not true. Asia doesn't say that. They're not going to give you low taxes. That's complete bullshit. Okay? That's complete nonsense. He's a liar.
We generally want you to deposit some of your wealth there. Let's talk about, from the industry trade publication, Vietnam's Tourism Advisory Board has proposed a golden visa program valid for 5 to 10 years.
So this is basically, I'm not going to go through this video. I haven't seen it, and I don't need to. This is the crux of the video. He read an article. Okay, Vietnam's Tourism Board Advisory Board proposed a golden visa program. Folks, Vietnam, like Thailand, like all these countries in Southeast Asia, they propose all kinds of shit. Okay, and many of these things never happen. The very best, it takes many fucking years. Vietnam, it takes even longer because it's a communist country filled with bureaucracy. It's a very bureaucratic country. Okay, so he's making people think that this thing's going to happen, and I can tell you right now, I don't think I'm going to live to see the day that's going to happen. They don't even have a long-term visa for foreigners who are married to Vietnamese citizens who have been in Vietnam for 20, 30 years. Do you think they're going to roll out a visa for expats? I doubt it. But the point is that he's just floating out shit that's going in the air. That means nothing. It's not even a serious discussion at all. It's just one article that was written. Okay? If it becomes serious, then they talk about it in the Politburo, the governing body in Hanoi, and they go over things a lot. It becomes a process, and even then it starts, even when they're talking about it seriously, it will take a few years at best. Okay? If you talk about something as being a possibility, anytime there's a letter or something proposed by a tourism advisory board, you're going to be just floating horseshit out all the time. This is just another way for this guy to make it look like he knows what's going on. He just read a fucking article. The final segment I'm going to close out here, I want to show everybody, this is really good. I don't know how I ran across these fucking jugheads, but earlier today I ran across them. That's probably the reason why I want to do this video. And you got this couple here, and they're finally going to leave Asia. So let's listen to this here.
Asia?
I know, it feels like we live here now, but we don't.
No, and actually it's almost time for us to leave. Unfortunately, we're gonna miss it, but we're heading back to Europe in a couple of days, so it feels like a good time to do a recap of our tour through Southeast Asia. We're gonna tell you what is hot and what is not.
And make sure to stick around until the end because we're gonna tell you who each country is best for, so you don't wanna miss that.
All right.
So, you heard that. So they've been in Asia for 7 months, okay? Been around several countries in Asia. And now they're experts. They're going to tell you what countries are best. How the fuck do you know? Okay? You don't know what it's like to live in these countries. Living in a country, you better have been there at least 2 fucking years. At least 2 years full time. minimum, to know what it's like to live in any country. Okay? But you know, everyone's an expert, folks, on ScamTube. Anyway, let's continue.
Amelia, let's dive in. And we started our tour and are ending our tour in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So we came here actually for two reasons. We were invited to speak at the Nomad Capitalist event last September, and we wanted to come here and do our health screenings.
You heard that? Boom, motherfucking boom. Boom, motherfucking boom. You got that? I'm like, oh shit. Holy shit, the can of fucking worms. Let's take a look here. See that? Here we go.
I read your book years ago, completely changed our whole perspective on the go where you're treated best. And
yeah, go where you're treated, but look at this fucking fraud. Look at this grimace. Go where you're treated best. Folks, you're treated best in your own country. You may not think so, because things go wrong. You're not happy about things. You think you're treated better in another country, you go spend some time there. You go to Cambodia, you go to Colombia, you go to these countries this fucking shyster is pushing you to. You go to these countries and see how well you're treated. When you have no personal freedoms, liberties, you got no rule of law, something happens to you, you're fucked. Okay? You are fucked. I've been living overseas for many years, and I'm telling you, this is the truth. This is the fucking truth. You're treated best in the country where you were born and you grew up, and that's a fact. Okay? That's a fact.
Completely blew our minds, and now that's one reason why we're slow traveling around the world right now is because of you. So it's all your fault.
Guilty, yeah. I've realized.
So there you got the scammers here. So this is interesting. So they seem like a nice couple, right? Nice couple. They're nice people. They seem nice. Let's listen to them. Let's look at them. You know.
Can you believe we have been here for 7 months in Southeast Asia?
I know, it feels like we live here now, but we don't.
No, and actually it's almost...
So, is there something beneath the surface here that we are missing? I don't know. Oh, interesting. Turtle Club. What is this? Oh, the Turtle Travel Club. You starting to see what's going on, folks? Why they're promoting Andrew Henderson? Why they're involved in his bullshit? Move abroad. You understand? This is how they're making their money. This is their job. They're fucking mini versions of Andrew Henderson. They're fucking scammers. There you go. See, you notice these people, they're going to tell you the story how they moved abroad and everything's great. But they don't tell you, like, oh yeah, I retired overseas. No, you're not. You're fucking working full time. What are you talking about? Work online. Yeah, digital nomad. It's easy. Fucking shit. Okay. Travel club. Okay. Join the club. It's just a small fee. Okay. Travel turtle trips. Okay. Go on the trips with these people. Okay. It's a cult. Once they got you in the cult, they're going to overcharge you to go on some tours with them. Wow. What a fucking scam. Are you kidding me? Academy. Well, you know, the Academy. Oh, Move Abroad Express e-course. Online Income e-course. Ecuador Relocation e-course. What the fuck? Folks, I'm sure many more e-courses are coming, okay? You understand what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. You understand. What I say before about everybody on YouTube? They're all fucking scammers. They're all selling you bullshit. It's all about the money, folks. You can't trust anything from any of these motherfuckers on ScamTube. If they're monetizing their channel in any way, shape, or form, whether it's affiliate links, there's fucking courses, whatever, even from the ads, monetizing their content, selling ads for scammers, they can't be trusted. Credible people providing value aren't on YouTube. Scammers are. And they're looking to fuck you. Okay? That's all I've got on Nomad Scam Artist. I'm going to do one on Grant Cardone. That's right. Grant Cardone.